This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is sunny and warm, and we are looking in the trees, looking on the ground all over us for some wonderful animals to find. I'm looking in the tree hoping to find some spots today. I hope that you're also wanting to find. In fact, I know you guys want to see some spots. So we're looking for creatures great and small here on your live safari through the African bush. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your sunset safari. Do you see any leopards up there? I don't. But I'm going to keep on looking, because now that it's nice and sunny, I'm hoping that the leopards will be out and tracks will be easier to find. They'll be out on their territorial patrols. That should be wonderful. Hi, everyone. It's me, Trishal, and I have Impo on camera with me. There's that thumb. And we are going on an adventure, aren't we? And you're all invited. Now, we're going to drive as we talk. And we're not just going to drive and talk, you're going to talk to me too. It's your live safari, so use that hashtag WildEarth or at FC on the YouTube chat stream, or you can go to our website, you can sign up and use our question box. And our lovely kitties, you can use kids' questions at wildearth.tv. Now, I said to you, one of the greatest things about being so nice and warm right now, especially after days and days of rain, is that the roads can finally have an opportunity to dry, and that means the soil gets a little bit more sandy. So we're going to spend at least the first portion of the drive just trying to look for some good tracks that we can follow up on. And then later on, as the sun starts to set and it gets a little bit cooler, we'll pop down to the hyena den, see what action is happening there. And of course, always looking for some elephants. Always, always. I said it is warm. It's about 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, our skin is getting some sun. It feels great. It's a substantial mood booster. So far, I do see tracks of elephants, but they are from this morning, and we are heading up north. I would like to check out Buffelshoek Dam, but the dam wall and things like that is still a little bit flooded or around it. So I might go pop there and see if there's anything of interest, or see if there's a spot where I can park. But if not, I will definitely report back to you. The wind has died down as well. And there's quite a nice silence. Let's just listen for a moment. The wind has been doing this to me. When I want you guys to listen, the wind starts to pick up. Oh, there we go. That's some really nice calm that's settled on the bush. Blue skies. You can hear the cisticolas shouting in the background. Psh, 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 psh. And the wind has become slightly softer. The air is fresh. And it's a wonderful, wonderful day out here on Djuma Game Reserve. Well, it's not just a wonderful day out here. It seems to be a wonderful day at many of our locations. Let's go and check out the weather.
Good afternoon everybody. Welcome on board here at Pridelands Conservancy with Eco Training. With some beautiful zebras with the mountain in the background. What a gorgeous afternoon we're having. Hello everybody, you might recognize my voice, you might recognize my face as well. My name is Steve. I am joined by Johan on camera and we are very excited to have you with us, and I'm very excited to be here on a new property under new sort of new area. Let's check it out. So isn't it wonderful to be out and about? A new hat, a new shirt, a new vehicle, some new views, a new cameraman, and the weather's pretty similar here in Pridelands this afternoon as it is in Djuma. I'm blessed to have the sunshine out. I had lots and lots of mouldy bits and pieces. My car needed to be aired, but these animals themselves are very excited that the sun is out. Lovely herd of wildebeest. We are on an area of Pridelands called Impala Plains, and well, aptly named Impala Plains. There are some impala around, but some lovely wildebeest and a family of zebra that you saw before. Those little young wildebeest you see there, the two smallest ones, three small ones, all would have been born just recently in December time. Amazing how quickly they grow. There seems to be a very slight size difference between them. They change color very quickly. Keep up with the herd, blend into the herd as well. We obviously don't get the same sort of herd sizes of wildebeest that you'd see in the likes of the migration, and saying that as well, a completely different species, the blue or brindled gnu, right up in the Mara. We've got the white bearded gnu. They all sound quite similar. I wonder if they smell the same. Their behaviors are very similar. They do all sorts of markings with their preorbital gland, with their feet, their bodies, rubbing and rolling. I wonder if their smell is the same. If we had the same amount of wildebeest here as we do in the Mara, would I smell the same smells? I think it would be slightly different, don't you think? But it's like that smell of a wet dog. Wet dog smell is universal, isn't it, everybody? It doesn't matter what dog you're smelling. If it's wet, it smells just like a wet dog. So I wonder if wildebeest from the north and wildebeest from the south sound the same, smell the same. Oh, that one is just going to show us exactly what wildebeest do. Once they start moving, we can all relate to a degree. Jackie, they're already starting to get their stripes. They're born obviously very, very sort of light in colour, and slowly but surely their skin is starting to stretch. They'll come into frame now. You can see they're already starting to get the stripes on the back there. Hard to tell in this light. And they're already starting on the neck. Already the stripes are there. So yeah, I mean the brindled gnu, it almost looks like someone's put them on a grill and sort of grilled their sides. They haven't though, I promise. But they're just very little versions of the adults. So they don't seem to have them on the side as much. But it's actually a bit of hair, everybody. It's actually not just like skin, extra skin. It's actually little lines of hair on the body. That's quite noticeable. And so obviously it takes a little bit more time, I suppose, when you're that young to grow. The warthogs grow that beautiful sort of moustache stripe to mimic tushes early on. I don't really know what the purpose is of the lions and the wildebeest's body. They maybe feel left out from the zebras to a degree and they want to sort of fit in. Magnificent fellows. The Talamati Pride decimated our wildebeest population there on Djuma, so it's nice to see more than two wildebeest together. Lovely little herd here out in the open plains, beautiful grazing. These open areas are going to do so well after the rain we've had. It's been saturating rain. Doesn't seem this side that we've had as much rain as we received in Djuma. The roads here, not that I've seen many of them yet, seem to be a lot more sort of dry. We talk about it often, about the orographic rainfall. orographic, meaning it falls in specific places. It's not a blanket rainfall all over the place, and those mountains in the background have a lot to do with it. The mountains sort of push the water vapor up, so it becomes rain, and it falls in different places. And obviously together with the cyclone pushing in from the ocean, it was like waves of rain, and it basically fell where it fell. It wasn't blankets of it, it was big pockets of rain that fell here and fell there, and enormous amounts of it fell on Djuma. The last moments you saw of me was battening down the hatches. We got very wet sending ourselves home there. And so I didn't get to say goodbye to all of you, but I knew I'd be seeing you all very, very soon. Or should I say, you'll be seeing me soon, and I'm going to be here for 3 weeks. So it sounds like we're going to be sending you over to Anbianagala to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to Anbian Private Game Reserve, everyone. Believe it or not, we're starting exactly where we started this morning, back in one of the clearings in the south, and you can see, just like Steve had at Pridelands, beautiful group of wildebeest and zebra, a much larger group of wildebeest than zebra, just being the two here. The zebras are putting on quite a show for us this afternoon, standing there quite beautifully next to us. You can see the beautiful Drakensberg mountain range in the background, which is also stunning this afternoon. It's a little bit hazy. I think that's with all the wind and with the conditions drying out a little bit. There's a little bit more dust around. But my name is Nick, and behind camera we've got Odie this afternoon. And we've come back to where we started this morning. We're still looking for the lions this afternoon, and we did find quite fresh tracks of one of the young lionesses going south on the road in front of us. So we're going to try to see if we can follow those tracks for a little bit. With the reserve being still so wet, we're going to try and avoid driving off-road though, because we want to be as sensitive as possible, and driving off-road in these conditions will compact the soil almost completely, as well as the fact that there's a very good chance of us getting stuck, and we don't want that this afternoon either. But back towards the mountains, you can see the beautiful Drakensberg there, sort of the most northern part of the Drakensberg in southern Africa, or in South Africa, and it's a stunning view of them. It's stunning to have some blue sky and those gorgeous clouds out as well. There's a slight breeze blowing this afternoon from a southerly direction, so you can imagine if these wildebeest and zebra, if the lioness is further to the north from us, so behind where we are sitting, there's a very good chance that they won't pick up on her scent. And by their posture and the way they're standing and the way they're behaving, it doesn't seem like they've picked up on anything this afternoon. So they seem to be quite chilled out here, just feeding on the shorter grass this afternoon, slowly moving around. So I think what we're going to do from here is we're going to continue heading south and see if we cannot find where this single lioness has gone. There's we're hoping that she might lead us to where the rest of the pride is, which we've been struggling to find and keep a good comms on for the last few days. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep driving from here straight down this road in front of us and see if we can pick up on anything this afternoon. Pretty sure that this lioness, the way the tracks are going, I'm sure if she hasn't met up with the rest of the pride already, as it got a little bit hotter, I'm sure she's gone to rest underneath one of these bushes or big trees that we have around us. But for now, we're going to send you over to Tristan at Djuma, who's going to say good afternoon.
Good luck, Nick. Hopefully you'll have a successful afternoon finding lions. We had a very unsuccessful morning on a lion front. I mean, Trishala found one Avoca male, but we had tracks for just an endless amount of lions going all over the place. It looked like, from what I could see, that potentially two Avocas were chasing the Talamati pride around, but we'll get into that just now. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Cloney this afternoon, and essentially where we are right now is where I last had tracks. It's very difficult in this area because the road to my right, or two roads to my right, are closed. and they're still too wet, and the road to my north is also closed. So the only road I can check is this one, and then the kind of boundary roads, and that means that, you know, unless they're sitting somewhere where I can see them from this particular road, there really isn't much we can do. And even though the sun is shining, the area is still very, very, very wet, and that makes us not able to off-road. And so, you know, we're going to have to just be a little bit kind of patient and keep trying. I suspect we're going to see them coming out a little bit later, not quite just yet. I think early on I'm going to try and see if I can find a leopard somewhere, maybe sitting in a tree or just taking it easy, and then we'll kind of focus on the lions a little bit later. But it definitely looked like there was 2 male lions that were up and down and running. They weren't walking, they were trotting up and down, lots of scent marking all over the top of a pride's tracks. So I found where we left the 2 females yesterday. They went into Torchwood, did a big loop, came back, came south, and then it looks like they joined the pride pretty close to where I am right now. And then they all traveled north, and then the males were going up and down in this area. But you can see when I was talking about how difficult it can be at the moment, if you look in front here, this is what the condition of the roads is after this rain. You can see how the road has been completely mangled by runoff, and so that is not drivable at the moment. You can't take that road, and some of the tracks go up towards that direction. Where I left the tracks this morning was just here in these furrows, going the other way. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go down this road and round and see. You see prides at Djuma. So 4 that we see mostly, which is the Nkuhumas, Talamati, Shimungwe, Torchwood lions. Those are the 4 prides. You know, we could get outlying prides every now and then, so there is potential for the Ntsevu, Kambula pride, maybe they could arrive in this area from the south. And then there's a pride in the north called the Naru pride. Naru pride is also how it's said. They could potentially push south at 4 prides at the moment, and that is controlled by one coalition, well, 2 coalitions. There's the Evoca males, which is the 3 boys, and we know they've split off into basically 1 and 2. We've not seen the 3 together for quite some time. And then there's these 2 males that have been coming out of the Kruger a little bit with the Torchwood prides, and are seemingly the fathers of the cubs that the Torchwoods currently have. Whether or not you know, they are still doing okay, I don't know, because somebody said to me the other day they only saw 1 of them, not both. So I don't know if there's something happened there or not. They're very, very shy, quite skittish males. I personally haven't seen them. I've seen a lot of photos of them, but they don't seem to really stick around very much when they are seen. So that's the coalitions. We know that to the south of us, in terms of male lions, is still the Birminghams, and there's the odd young males that are starting to come through. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how the evokers go over the next little bit. Okay, we're going to try and scratch around. Hopefully we can get a leopard in a tree, and then maybe the lions later. That's the kind of plan. We'll hopefully need a lot of luck in order to achieve our goals.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa, and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing, and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank Wild Earth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
So, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice for myself then.
My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced, and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the Live Safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Welcome back to Pridelands, everybody, where we decided to stay with our little general herd of antelope and zebras. They're enjoying these open areas. Really nice to see a group of them together. Very, very relaxed. Generally on Djuma we see our zebra and wildebeest population. They're a bit wary of us. They don't normally get too close. But yeah, they seem very chilled, which is very cool. Very good sign. Exactly, Lebogang. That question of yours is almost answering itself. Definitely the eyes and the ears. Can you just have a look at this female impala here, what she's looking at there? She's looking quite interested in something. But all the other animals are looking very relaxed. Lebogang, I'll get to your question now. But you see this behavior of this female impala and male impala. That sort of behavior is one of interest. There's lots of other herbivores there that aren't paying any attention. So the purpose of hanging out in a group, as you've kind of said already in your answer, is it's safer for them to hang out together. Yes, most certainly. Not only big species on their own, like a whole lot of wildebeest, a whole lot of zebra together are safer, but these mixed species, these mixed herds, they're all watching out for the same danger. But what they also do is they have a different feeding strategy. There we go, they've gone back to feeding. Clearly it wasn't too much to worry about. They've got a different feeding strategy. The zebra have teeth at the top of the mouth and the bottom, so around the front, the incisors. They're able to chop grass quite low, and that actually facilitates the grazing for the wildebeest. So big discussions in the Masai Mara with the migration is that the zebras often move forward and then the wildebeest follow. Obviously, if there's been a big fire, the fire's basically done the job that the zebra would do, but in a much larger fashion. So wildebeest love fire, but when there's no fire, they follow zebra. And impala, well, they're a mixed feeder, so they're feeding on all of the forbs and herbs that you have around here and on the grass, and they're also able to feed quite low down. So the zebra also facilitates it for them. So they're all benefiting each other because they're not competing. You don't get too many animals in the same area that feed at the exact same level. If that happened, one would outcompete the other. It goes with birds, with animals, with predators. The better adapted of the two always outcompetes the other. That's why you don't find two wildebeest species here, or two zebra species here, or two giraffe species here, because they don't. Well, one's outcompeted the other, so you don't have it anymore. There was talk in historical evidence that there was once two lions, two different species of lions, and one was just better than the other. Same going as there were once 6 species of human. And, well, there's only one now, so competition in the animal world is very strong, very, very strong, and the weak always succumbs to the strength of the stronger. That's why you see in areas where bushbuck and nyala occur together, the bushbuck get outcompeted by the nyala, so you don't find as many. They have the exact same habitat preference, same feeding, same strategy, and the nyala is much bigger, so they obviously dominate. So it's sort of a cascading level of herbivory, and all the while they also suffer the same fate when it comes to lion or leopard. Obviously zebras aren't as worried about leopard as impala are, but if they've got youngsters, they are, but they do not like them. They do not like them. They will not tolerate them, and so the impala can actually be benefited by zebras, because zebras are very vigilant, very observant, and I think all three species together really do benefit each other in the long run. Well, we're going to send you over to Tswalu Kalahari, who'd like to say good afternoon.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari this afternoon, and we have a huge surprise coming along with the Kalahari this afternoon, and we have just found a pack of wild dogs just far out into the west of the reserve, and as we just found them, these animals have just gone into a meet and greet display as we just found them through this area. I am Ewan, and behind the camera this afternoon is Morgan, and we will be your team in the Kalahari this afternoon, and we're going to continue going with these dogs. So we're going to pull a tiny bit forward. I see an ear that's just flopping around at the bottom of one of the bushes there, and we'll just go back in this direction. Right. So, as I've mentioned earlier on, these dogs have literally just gone through a meet and greet display as we've just found them, literally as we just found them a few seconds ago. And so these meet and greet displays that I was talking about, we were actually getting quite excited, because at that point, that is generally what happens just before they get out and go out on a hunt. But as we could see these dogs moving around, their bellies are looking quite empty this afternoon. So there is a potential chance of seeing a hunt this afternoon. But so cool once again to see such a critically endangered species. And you can see they literally, they've tested the air a bit and feeling a bit, it's still too hot. So it's getting to a point that they just gone down to a relaxed mode and just to sleep a bit first, a bit more, until the temperature drops later on. Oh, look at those big ears, so beautiful. So nice to, even for us as guides and trackers that works with them daily, just to be able to follow these animals. And even if we could see them every day, I mean, that is so amazing. Look at that head coming up and beautiful ears flopping around, coming out there. We will be adjusting as time goes on, like just adjusting just to better positions from here and there, and just to clear out to get to better light as the afternoon goes on. But for sure, we will be sticking with these dogs most probably for the afternoon, because as it is, it looks like that these dogs will be going out on a hunt this afternoon. And the surfaces in the Kalahari is good enough actually to stick with them on these hunting events, movements that they go. And if we're lucky enough, we could actually potentially see an actual chase on animals physically happening. Looks like the alpha bear actually in the shade that's lying down over here again. So just as a bit of a reminder, you'll see the alpha dog male have like beautiful white chest, and it actually looks like the beta females here in front. the grass is a bit sharp here. Can't really see at the back there. But yeah, definitely the alpha male lying at the background. It's incredible to see those white chests colors actually coming through, as I mentioned the other day. It's so incredible seeing the different colorations and variations of colors on these animals. Just so beautiful. So typically in the Kalahari, wild dogs are animals that can do long distances at a time. As we mentioned yesterday evening, specifically with the brown hyenas being quite much longer stints of distances due to survival, obviously, and what they have to do for survival, being wanting to travel longer distances at given times and so on, and just covering the right amount, adequate distance. You're thinking about African wild dog, for instance. Yes, dogs could do within one afternoon event into nighttime, where they go mobile and so on. You could easily get them hunting for 20 kilometers at a go or so. And it's just amazing to see how much stamina these animals have. And this is obviously why you see these animals relaxing so much to a certain extent, that they just obviously resting the right adequate amount for the time when they're getting active. So yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, they have digested quite a bit of food. And it looks like the distance that they've moved from the last location we have seen them, they have tried at least once or twice in a hunting event by the looks of it. And it looks like they haven't really caught something big in between since yesterday morning till now. And so yeah, we're looking at a situation that they stand a good chance to go out and hunt. It looks like the flies are bothering them quite a bit there at the moment. The flies that we have in this area typically going for the bacteria that's secreted from that comes out from the sweat, that's secreting from the sweat glands in this environment is basically attracting quite a bit of the horse flies. See, flies, mosquitoes, and especially horse flies even. Often you'll hear people will say, or there will be certain people saying, I don't know if you heard about this yet, but yeah, some people would actually say at some points that, it feels like these mosquitoes are targeting me more than other people actually. And this is actually the case. It happens truly that mosquitoes, flies, and so on does actually go for certain people more than others. And so in this case, the bacteria that comes from the sweat from wild dogs, and funny enough, giraffe, as well as rowan and sable antelope, you get these animals being targeted quite a lot by these particular type of flies. That's why the tail is also non-stop waving around as it is. But yeah, guys, I can't claim this enough. Just to think about how special this is, actually, being able to see this, like within 24 hours, we're having the second sighting of such a rare, incredible, endangered species. So at the moment, it looks quite deceiving, actually, as you look at the situation and you're looking at, how's it even possible? How can this guide say that they're going to get going and moving out on a mobile sighting this evening? And definitely, for sure, it's just very hot still at the moment. And sometimes it is what it is. In the Kalahari, the key to success, meaning in the situation of us, in the game viewing point of view, is patience. Patience is the biggest key to success. And it's amazing, actually, to keep on watching the behaviors, the different behaviors that they go through before they actually go out on a hunt. So I was kind of hoping that we could actually get that ritual I was talking about earlier, because as we arrived here, it happened actually. But generally, through those rituals that they go through, it happens like 2 to 3 times as events goes through in the afternoon before they go out and hunt. So you typically get to that situation where they go through these display rituals, And it's like I've mentioned the other morning, it's those dancing rituals where they just dance and kiss and yodel. And it's like just everybody's so excited for this event about to happen. So it's almost like they're psyching each other up for this hunt about to happen. But yeah, typically in this situation, it could be as sleepy as can be. And the next moment they're up and going and just going at it and then going through their proper ritual.
Look at it. Well, as you can see, we're still bumbling about trying to figure out where these cats went. Unfortunately, the last tracks that I've managed to find seem as though they're pointing back into towards the sort of central parts of Djuma, and every single one of those roads is closed at the moment. Probably another day or two, and they'll be, if we get sunshine like this and beautiful weather, then they'll be open again. But it is going to take a few days, unfortunately. The amount of water that's sitting on the road, I mean, you can see as we're driving, pretty much everywhere is just waterlogged. And when these roads are waterlogged like this, and we drive them, if we break through the crust that's formed, and we start to create any sort of rutting, then what happens there is you get huge amounts of erosion that starts to take place, which is obviously not what you want at all. So we have to be good about it. You have to be understanding of that sometimes the bush is too wet and you've got to just be patient. And eventually your patience is generally rewarded. Once it starts to open up, you start to find things. So I'm pretty sure we'll get them. And I mean, you look at yesterday afternoon, we drove around for a while, couldn't find anything, and then eventually the lions came out, and we had a pretty epic afternoon following those two Talamatis hunting and walking around in that strong wind that we had. So just got to be patient. I have a funny feeling, I don't know why, that Thandi and the cub are back at first rock. I think with all the lion activity that's been on Chitwa of late, I suspect that maybe, just maybe, she's moved them. That's the one downside of when we get a lot of lions in the area, which we have at the moment. It just seems like every road I've driven since I've been back has got lion tracks on them. And that is that the leopards start to become a little bit more scarce. They become a bit more wary of what they're doing. And they actually start to move into the fringes of their territory that are away from where, let's say, a lion is roaring or spending a lot of time. So you've got to kind of then work out exactly where they're moving. And I've been very surprised I've only done 2 drives since I've been back, but in the 2 drives that I have done, I've only seen 1 set of leopard tracks. And given how much rain we had the day before, it was a blank canvas out here. We should have seen leopards moving around, but there's only the 1 set. And that was for that male right down on the southern boundary of the reserve. The other problem that we're facing is that leopards are masters of hunting in conditions like we had yesterday. So I'm pretty sure that most of them are sitting on some sort of a kill. If they didn't kill last night, they killed the night before. And if it's something decent and it's up a tree and far from the road, it's very, very possible that they'll be on it for 2-3 days before they start to come out and move around again in marked territory. All right, we'll carry on. We'll keep looking and seeing what we can find. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Tim Pinder.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to And Beyond Pinder. We've found a beautiful bachelor herd of young male giraffe. They were all just standing in the road earlier, just chewing the cud. You can see that the 3 that are still in the road are also still just chewing, and the other 2 have moved off and have started to feed on what looks like a tambuti tree. Let me just double check. Yeah, feed on a tambuti tree, or on the leaves of it. But there's some really, really beautiful young giraffe here. These ones just in front of us, you can see they're very unblemished. They don't have any scarring. Their coats are nice and kind of clean of any scars, and even their horns aren't completely bald yet. They still have a little bit of fur on top. So
that's how you can tell that they're quite young, and just based on their size as well. I am Kim, and behind camera today we've got Simon. Yeah, we did come out looking for leopards, but we've found these beautiful giraffe in the road. And I think that also what we're going to be doing this afternoon is going from watering hole to watering hole. I am quite excited to show you all how this reserve's transformed over the last week. I don't know if you've noticed that Phinda hasn't been very... well, we haven't been involved in many of the drives lately because we've had some quite heavy rainfall over the last week or so we've been unable to join for quite a few of the drives. But yeah, the reserve is looking so beautiful. Lots of the watering holes are completely full or overflowing. There's puddles everywhere, and the floodplain, which is where we're hopefully heading towards, is actually living up to its name and has become flooded. It's completely underwater, so our plan for this afternoon was to go over there and see if there are any interesting birds that have decided to move onto Phinda, maybe from Lake St. Lucia, because we can actually see the lake from here. I think we'll look at it in a moment, and it's joined onto the floodplain, which hasn't happened for quite a lot of years apparently, so that's really, really exciting. So yeah, that's what we're going to show you this afternoon. I'm going to head out there, but let's try and show you the Lake St. Lucia if we can. Can you see it there in the distance? So you can see Lake St. Lucia there in the distance. So a little bit closer to us, you'll be able, that's where we'll be going. And it's all opened up. There's quite a lot of trees underwater now, and and it's actually joined onto the floodplain. So that's actually not inside of Phinda, it's outside of Phinda, and it's joined on, which is very, very cool. And I think there's probably going to be some hippos, maybe crocodiles, and awesome birds. So I think that's where we're going to head now. Just something exciting and different. Mo, I haven't actually seen giraffe eating grass before. I don't think so. They specifically have that long neck for eating leaves out of trees. And sometimes they'll eat bushes, like you can see on the far right there, the one's kind of bent over and is feeding on a bush. But no, I don't think that they eat grass. I think that if they were really, really struggling for food, say there weren't many trees around, or I don't know, like trees were, like there was a drought, and the only vegetation was grass, then maybe they would be forced to feed on it. But they are predominantly browsers, which means that they feed off of trees and bushes. Oh, one's coming towards us now. I did mention that we were looking for leopard earlier, and you can see that how the behavior of this front one has changed. It looks like it can see something in the grass in front of it. Oh, it's lost interest already. But that's the way he looked down, like that quite... he's doing it. So if we had a group with that expression that he's got on his face now, then, and they were all looking in the same direction, then we could be quite certain that they were looking at something that might be of interest to us, like a predator. And you see he's already lost interest. And he's just carrying on chewing on that cud ball.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
We stopped as the dusk was settling and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
We are looking at a pair of starlings that are going crazy over some insects that are on the ground. Look at them. So cool to see them bounce about. And that lovely sheen. Well, we are now on Cheetah Cut Line, which is our eastern boundary, or eastern boundary of Djuma. And I was trying to get to Buffelshoek Dam, but unfortunately, the roads and signal would not permit. But that's okay. I did manage to at least get a glimpse of it, and that glimpse showed that it was so tremendously full. But unfortunately, we couldn't spend some time there. So what I'm going to try to do now is I'm heading south on Cheetah Cut Line, and then we're going to get soon to the dam at Twin Dams, and at least be able to watch it from the main road. Because I miss visiting the dams and seeing what curious creatures we can find there. Maybe some more starlings. In fact, there'll most definitely be starlings around. Cape turtle doves and blacksmith lapwings. Definitely, 100%. So let's go and find those. But what I'm truly hoping for are some elephants playing in the dam. Those would be much easier to spot as well from the main road than a starling that's on the northern end of that dam. These guys. Rosalind, I did get part of your question. It was how do the animals get through something? But no worries. Get through the weather. As in, how do they... Okay. So I think, like, you know, harsh conditions, I think that's what you're talking about. For them, it's not as if these conditions are unknown to them. The conditions are just a little bit more intense than they're used to. So they still are absolutely fine with the rain. I mean, they live out in the wild, so there's nothing... So there's nothing protecting them or giving them shelter from the rain in the first place. So with the heavy rains, all that's happening is that it's just a little bit more intense. They may get stuck and things like that, and that's more the exception. But other than that, they just try and keep higher ground, and it doesn't really affect them too much. In fact, I would say that a drought, having no rain, would be more dire to them than having too much of it. I've just stopped here because I could hear some dwarf mongoose talking to each other. Now, of course, they're stopped, and it's impossible to see them in this long grass. But I was hoping maybe they'd come out onto the road. Apparently, I don't have luck for them today. I can still hear them. I'm very bad at making their sound. Nope, that's not even how it goes. But they're definitely somewhere in this area. I would say they're probably underneath this bush right here. There, it's that high-pitched squeak. Kind of goes... Nothing. Oh well. I tried, guys. I tried. Well, Tristan has something I believe is a little slithery. Let's go and see.
Well, I actually just saw Trishala recently before we came into Torchwood. We've come to First Rock in order to find any sign of maybe Thandi and the cub. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on where you sit, if you're a reptile lover, you'll be pretty happy to be seeing a giant plated lizard, and an absolute toad of a giant plated lizard at that. This is a large individual. Very, very fat, as you can see. These guys here do quite well. The ones at First Rock, they're pretty used to people as well, because it's a popular place for people to have their drink stops, so their coffee break in the mornings and their gin and tonics in the evenings, and so the lizards are quite used to cars and people kind of moving around, and that's why you can actually get glimpses of them. Normally, their default behavior is if anything is around that's disturbing them. So let's say Thandi had to walk up onto these rocks right now. What you would find is this lizard would just duck straight into the crevice and underneath the rocks, where it knows that it's going to be very difficult for anything to get anywhere near it. A leopard won't be able to get in underneath those rocks very easily. So that's their kind of default behavior. But once they start to understand that you're not a predator of theirs, then they are like this, where they'll just kind of cruise around in the open. But it's absolutely beautiful up here. It's kind of up on the rocks, and I always love coming to this spot, particularly at this time of the year, because the greenery and the views that we get is just so pretty. There's this little drainage line that runs here in front, and you get this vista of the kind of Sabi sands and the lush green vegetation as the rocks kind of drop off, and it's always a sort of favorite place to come and kind of check around. It's still quite warm, so I don't think we'll have too many things on the rocks itself. But you never know. It's always worth just checking. So I just want to go forward and kind of check in the front here. Madison, you're asking if those lizards bite. So if you harassed it, it most certainly will bite you, and it will have sharp little teeth, and it will hurt. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to take your finger off, but it won't be pleasant either. It's not going to be something that you really want to tangle with too much. They're most lizards, have quite a sort of strong jaw, and that often leads to a fairly painful bite. Unfortunately, nothing down below. I was hoping there's one rock that just sits in the shade at the bottom, and given how wet and damp things are, it's a good place for a cat to sit, particularly the likes of Tandi's cub. I mean, he obviously has a name now, but it's just easier to refer to him as Tandi's cub in a scenario when you're talking about both of them. But Marips would be, most likely like to be somewhere there. It's the reason we called him Rocket anyway, is because of the fact that he spends so much time on these kind of rocks and in this area. Saying that, though, the last time I saw him, he had his nose firmly planted in the wet sand and was past, so maybe he's just...
Welcome back, folks. So we have realigned the vehicle a bit, and we got to a bit of a better view here. As you can see, this beautiful beta female has just found a nice position with these alongside of these African monarch butterflies, just flying around in the little bit of the grasses here. You can see the vegetation in this area is a bit clearer as opposed to like the sour grass areas that we've driven this morning. So the tracking events will go a bit easier in these areas. And so, but yeah, so cool. We found them quite quickly this afternoon, actually quite early. So it's good actually to be able to be in this position where you can actually see step by step from sleeping position to waking up and then going through the different rituals. Cleo, you from the UK, you just asked how many wild dogs are in a pack. Cleo, it varies. It's such a broad subject and question actually, and well done on that question. Wild dogs, it varies. You could get to packs, generally sizes from 10 to 15 to 14 to sometimes only 5, only 4, like this small pack that we have here at the moment. But yeah, you get wild dogs being, like, let's say the pack gets to about 25, 30 dogs, then it easily gets to a situation where you get break-offs or split-offs, and they are dogs that just doesn't take the leadership of African wild dog pack anymore. And then the leadership, it works like this, where you have that hierarchy system of alpha male and alpha female, and beta male, beta female, as we mentioned yesterday. So quite cool actually thinking about how the system works in that leadership and how important it is within this ecosystem. So thinking about an alpha male and an alpha female being the leaders of the pack and the main predominant mating animals and the only mating animals of a pack. And so excuse me, so it gets to a point that if the pack then grows up to about 20 dogs, let's say 5 dogs of those 20 is like litters from previous years. And so it gets to a point that they're about 3-4 years of age now, and the next moment it gets to a point that they will then be splitting off because they just don't bridge their leaders. So the respect for their leaders is so strong, so they literally then rather just literally will leave the pack and then go off on their own. So where you get strong wilderness environments like this, you get split-offs from big packs quite often. So many different split-offs, or rather breakaways, from different packs will then sometimes find each other and join a new pack. And so a pack will be born. So that clears the question as well about how's it possible that there's no inbreeding taking place? So then it comes down to that situation that the more they mix up with other breakaways from other packs, they're non-related. So yeah, that's how wild dog packs can find each other and then mix up with a different gene pool. But wild dog packs on average in Africa, I'd say between 10 and 15 animals in a pack. Madison, you asking if wild dogs ever hunt at night? That's a very good question. So it's quite interesting. If you got a dark moon at night, now wild dogs are extremely day active. If you look at the region just below the eyes, and obviously with the black stripe that runs between the two eyes and so on, the functionality, well, the function of those markings and the black markings in the face, along with the actual amount of darkness in the face, is to attract the sharp sunlight towards that particular spot. To concentrate the sharp light there. So it keeps the light out of the eyes. So they're actually day active animals. But now comes dark moonlights as it is, and it's a complete dark night. Then it gets to a point that they can't really see. So that's when they don't hunt at night at all. So yes, wild dogs don't really hunt at night unless the moon gets to full moon, and the moon is so bright that even us, I don't know if you've been walking around at night sometimes in the bush, and the moon is so bright, and you adjust your eyes to minimizing all light, and you just adjust your eyes to the moonlight itself, then it gets to the point that they will actually get used to that eyes, and even us as humans, we can adjust our eyes to that moonlight. So yes, dogs can hunt with bright moonlight at night, but that's the only exception that happens. I've never ever seen wild dogs really hunt at night with a dark moon. The other thing is also that if they move around quite often, they hunt really well. So, as I was saying, yeah, they would be hunting extremely well together in a pack unit. And in that pack unity, that is also the other reason why they can hunt or mission it out, shall I say, wing it with a bright moon night hunting events. We're going to send you over to Ngala.
So believe it or not, we have managed to find a lion that we have been searching for this afternoon. We're actually sitting with a couple elephants, and we heard this lioness contact calling. We got very excited, and we spent 10-15 minutes moving around the area. It's still quite wet here, so we didn't want to drive off road to investigate. And then some wildebeest came running up from the left, alarming, and then out of the long grass we just saw this beautiful lioness's head. I'm just going to, yeah, there she's coming through. Is one of the Birmingham lionesses. I'm just trying to see which one it is. I have seen her nose, it's quite pink. You can see on her belly there's also quite a few spots. So I'm thinking it's either the young lioness or one of the subadults. I'm just going to sneak forward a little bit here. As she moves forward, I'm really hoping that she comes onto the road for us.
Did you see me do my hand dance, everybody? I was, FC was talking to me, and I decided to entertain them with my hand puppets. So we have come round towards Twin Dams, hoping, like I said, that we'd be able to see something from our southern boundary. But unfortunately not. But that's okay, I did manage to see the Mulwati, which is just beautiful. The Mulwati has been flowing. But it seems it is the only thing flowing today, because my sightings are definitely not. Either way, we're going to have a look around. I think so basically right now, Mpo and I have done the northern boundary, the eastern boundary, and the southern boundary, and just turned in to Djuma from the south onto Weaver's Nest. So that means that close by to us would be the Avoca male that we saw this morning. He'll be close by, so we can have a look and see if he's still around. Maybe he's moved onto the road somewhere, which would be awesome. And then once, like I said, once it cools down a little bit, pop into the den, and then once it gets dark, have my spotlight out and have a look for some chameleons. I think that's a great course of action. And of course, anything else in between. I was so hoping that I'd pick up on leopard tracks because of the weather. Because when they scent mark along their territory, what would happen is that the water or these big rains come along, and then the scent gets washed away. And so when it dries up again, you'll see them on the territorial patrols. So I was really hoping for that. And I mean, we can still be hoping for that because it's still a bit warm, and in the evening, we might get lucky. Okay. Hey. I'm going to have to see how bad this erosion is. Oh, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to send you over to Tswalu and their wild dogs in the meantime.
And so this wild dog beta female have just flopped down her head entirely, completely flat out right now. So she's gone down, and you can see these dogs are clearly just waiting for the temperature to drop quite dramatically. It is so important for Kalahari animals to make use of the right temperatures at the right time, and just so they don't overutilize their body energies and so on. Just thinking about from times in summertime, for instance, versus wintertime, and the different seasons of Tswalu specifically, and in this particular region. You're looking at animals in the summertime need to go out quite early in the morning. And so as it goes out early in the morning, the temperature's obviously still nice and cool, and there's still a lot of moisture in the plants present as it is. And so as the moisture in the plants is there, it means automatically a lot of food resources, meaning a lot of antelope, a lot of warthog, and a lot of things are out and about. So this is the thing why the dogs will be hunting at that given time. But also it's cool, and it keeps the heart rate down and nice and cool, actually, if they hunt at that given times and so on. But if you look at the winter time, for instance, it's more to do with the cold temperatures that happens. Like the Tswalu is known as an environment of extremes. So it most of the time comes down to a situation that in wintertime, it's the opposite of the hot extreme temperatures in summer. So wintertime, you get to situations like where you could easily get to midday temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, which is actually not too bad for an average winter's day. But it gets to a point that you could easily get to a -6, -5 centigrade temperature. And so it's crazy actually thinking about it, that animals have to deal with temperatures like that. And that's why it's known as an environment of extremes. So that could push a pack of wild dogs, for instance, easily up to 10, 11 o'clock in the middle of the day, for instance, in winter time. And that's actually when there's still a good amount of moisture in the plants left, which is meaning that most of your herbivorous animals, the prey animals, will be still moving around at that time quite a lot, and which is meaning they can still push it through to that particular time of the day as it is. But this is exactly what they're practicing right now. It is very important that they're making use of resting enough at the moment and let the body just ease off into that nice shade that she's found there, and just in a position that they could hunt to great success this evening. The moon is definitely not bright at all, and it's coming out very late at night. So the thing is, it's very, very small. It's in its first quarter of coming through. So coming through to that situation it's definitely going to mean that these dogs will have to, if they're hungry enough, which it does appear like, they're going to have to mission out and about on a great afternoon hunt. I'd say the last 40 minutes before sunset. Hour to 40 minutes. Now the thing is, I mean, we could have easily now driven a further bumble. So apologies for the question there. I didn't hear the name, but the question is the wild dogs my favorite animal? What makes it my favorite animal, apparently. Sorry for that. So wild dogs will be quite incredible, especially in the unity that they live. And what makes it so special for me specifically is looking at how they take care of each other, how they live in a unity. You see, coming back to that hierarchy system as it is, you got that alpha male, alpha female, beta female, and then you got the supportive unit structure behind that. And they live as one big happy family. And so yes, there is domination structures happening every now and again. But just thinking about the different things that they go throughout in a year, through their lives, if I can put it that way, is how they support each other in that system. Like for instance, if there's a den site formation, for instance, where an alpha female have pups, for instance, and then all of these. Obviously, the alpha female, her function would be to nurse these pups, and pups will drink from her and suckle and everything like that. And then it gets to a point that the pack will go out every single day, working hard at it, up and down, trying to hunt perfectly, and obviously bring food back to the den itself. But they look so well. It's more a situation where it's the members of the pack that's actually looking after those pups and getting them to success. You see, the thing is, success lies within numbers, and this is the thing. But that's a completely different topic. Talking about the situation of where you're looking at how they live in unity, and then it gets to a point where they just up and down, and they do take shares as the pups gets older as well, where other wild dogs would then go out to hunt, and the alpha female even could go out and hunt, and they could be babysitters staying behind at den sites, for instance. But I guess what I'm trying to say is basically looking at how they take care of each other. And that's just so special, thinking about how they deal with life. I've mentioned, I think I've mentioned it yesterday morning, but talking about how, for instance, they've been in an injury situation where 2 or 3 dogs have been injured. You'll have, like, on a big pack situation, say for instance you've got a pack of 30 dogs, you could easily get to a point where those 3 injured, just flopping onto my side there. Yo, this is nice. So you get to a point that they would just relax and all sleeping and being tucked away in a safe, good enough position, those 3 injured dogs of a pack of 30, for instance, and you would have like 3 or 4 dogs staying behind with those injured dogs just to guard them, make sure that they are safe, and the rest of the pack will still go out and hunt and then come back and regurgitate meat. So at the end of the day, they are actually, to me, they're displaying one word, and it's love. Hard work comes together within team unity, but love comes out of this picture. And that is why I like them so much. They represent so much goodness. Yeah, it's truly a special species there. On top of that, I mean, they show you the African bush, these animals. I've seen so many different events. Henry, you asking how far down in the food chain are wild dogs? You know what, they're actually quite on the top, because unity and the numbers is what keeps them safe, basically. So working hardcore as a team together, that is what keeps them quite safe. But if you look at the food chain itself, you're obviously having your apex predators first, which is typically like your lions, and then animals like hyenas, and you could get wild dogs behind that. But if you look at the situation as it is, they're not being hunted for food, if I can put it that way. Dogs are just in that ranks of that they could be killed every now and again by the bigger predators, because they are medium-sized predator, but their strength is within numbers. So the bigger the packs, the more they get to a situation where they become much stronger. So I've seen wild dog that's close to 22 dogs in a pack and overruling hyenas completely, a clan of 3 hyenas and so, or 4 hyenas and so. So you could easily get to a point where they overrule big predators. I've seen wild dogs overruling 2 or 3 lions. It's just crazy actually thinking about the strength within numbers that they have and that team unity situation that they have in that creates great strength. But the smaller the pack, the lesser the strength. The bigger the pack, the stronger the strength. Yeah, so we're going to continue sitting with these dogs, and we'll see you every now and again with them. But yeah, we're going to stick with them for the afternoon and see what we can get up to in the hopes of a potential bit more of activity.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to a very aptly named road called Marula Lane here on Pradelands. It really is just sensational. I mean, driving through this area, I know that elephants have only obviously been allowed into this property not so long ago. I can't remember the exact dates, but it's quite obvious when we look at the vegetation. There is some elephant damage that's starting, normal gouges to trees and the like, but the amount of false marulas I've already counted and other acacia species and the state of many of the marula trees is quite profound. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But the length of the grass doesn't match that of Djuma. Djuma's had an incredible amount of rain. I could walk here, it would probably be only about knee height, which is kind of sort of normal, whereas that side of the world, you can't see above your, below your shoulder. Some people, their heads. That was only after the last bout of rain. Okay, well, we're going to meander along this little drive towards a very nice watering hole called Leopard Dam. Very nice to just be exploring. So don't forget to send through your questions, everybody. Comments using the normal channels, #WildEarth. We'll throw them in the YouTube chat stream, of course. So I'm not expecting to see any crazy different birds from Djuma. A lot of the vegetation is going to be quite similar. It's slightly different in the soil. So seeing a lot more. I mean, look at this false marula here. Goodness gracious. That is going to be one of the biggest false marulas I've ever seen. Look at that beautiful tree. Now, Jackie, you've asked a question that some people have debates about. Some people will say, are there really male and female marula trees, or do you just find some fruiting and some others not fruiting? But they're called dioecious, which means that male and female. So, for example, there are many trees, not huge amounts, where you have a completely male plant versus female plant. Why that is that way, I can't tell you. One plant off the top of my head, cannabis. All of the cannabis plants, as far as I'm aware, you get male and female. But why they decide to do that? Why do most mammals have male and female? It's actually quite a tricky story. Being on a tree and having the same male and female parts in the same flower, which means you've got to do both jobs. So I actually think it's more advanced to have male and female on the same flower. So I think having a male tree versus a female tree is probably a bit easier, because they don't have to go through all of the other nonsense of trying to be two different things. They just have to produce pollen, or they just have to produce ovaries, eggs. Pine trees, for example, have different male and female cones, and that's very old. Pines are very, very old. So why they have male and female is hard for me to tell you, but I'm sure the tree knows. I'm sure they're quite happy with their strategy. But we're going to look for some false marulas. I believe Taylor found one this morning that had some fruit. But this is the biggest false marula I've ever seen. And if we go back to it, we'll actually notice that halfway up, there's been some damage due to who knows what, just right over there. You'll see the damage to the bark, and you see that there's been quite a bit of insect activity, and that's actually led to a huge portion of the tree dying. There's a large portion of that tree is dead. Now, that's obviously because it's gotten old. Trees get old, everybody, and as we know, we all get old and we lose a little bit here, a little bit there, or we gain a little bit here, a little bit there. But insects have gotten into the bark there, and insects, wood-boring beetles, the larvae, eating the wood, and that wood right there is prime real estate for a woodpecker to chop open, look for those grubs inside the wood, and then create a beautiful cavity. I haven't ever seen a beautiful cavity in a false marula, but I've seen many in living marula trees. But this tree right here could potentially have a couple of them in and around. I don't think the false marula wood is much harder than that of marula. Both a similar sort of wood structure. They both, believe it or not, are part of the mango family, everybody. But many people talk about the position and location of false marula trees only occurring on termite mounds. I've had that discussion with quite a few people in the past, but it's not the case. They don't only occur there, but they are more water-loving. So when we do find high herbivore pressure and elephants, for example, we don't generally find many false marulas just growing willy-nilly here in the open like this one is. Generally those ones then do much better being on a termite mound. The termite mound gives them elevation, so maybe protection against fire, maybe protection against many of the herbivores. Maybe it's a bit too tricky for an elephant to climb up there. But what it also does, especially the large fungus-growing termites, is they've got access to the water. So they get water, so it makes it very easy for these trees to grow down quickly into the water table, because false marulas are water-loving trees. trees. So this is by far the largest I've ever seen, and for many of you watching, it is not on a termite mound that I can see, but we are quite low down on the landscape. There's some leadwoods nearby. We're just on the other side of this drainage line, which is aptly named Tambuti Pans. Philip, at age 12, you don't know how high this tree is. Goodness me. How do we even measure? It must be 30 meters. What do you reckon, Johan?
About 30, 35.
35 meters, Johan reckons. That's with us just eyeballing it. Really difficult to say, but it's tall. It's about as big as I've ever seen one. This is bigger than all the marulas around here. All the marulas. And I reckon I could find in my book that would say false marulas get up to a certain size, and I reckon this would probably be the size of the false marula. Have a look what it says for height, because I don't think I've seen one larger than this. If any of you out there have seen a spectacular specimen bigger than this one, please let us know where you've seen it. False marula. I don't think I've actually got a whole section of false marula in this book. One of those. Minamu, that's a very difficult question to answer, because we don't get too many youngsters, so it's very hard for us to sort of record. But I'm sure next time I'm in Hoedspruit, I'm going to go to the Marula factory, and I'm going to go ask them, because we've got lots of fully grown marula trees and fully grown false marulas. You don't find many small ones these days, and a lot of people sort of blame the elephants, but there's lots of other impacts. There's lots of herbivore impacts as well, small animals feeding on them, eating them up. But some of the marulas we find have been around for a very long time, but I couldn't tell you how many years. I really don't know. You don't find many medium-sized or small ones, which is unfortunate. So the recruitment in these sort of fruit-bearing trees that are favored by elephants, favored by many animals, knobthorns favored by large nesting birds. We're not seeing a huge recruitment of them in areas with high herbivore sort of densities. Obviously, the trees provide enormous amounts of food benefits for animals, but then also have those extra nesting and sort of shade. And wonderful to have a picture of a leopard in a tree like this with a carcass slung over the branches. Okay, well, we're going to move on towards Leopard Dam, and it sounds like Trish has already found some water for herself.
Here we are at Treehouse Dam, one of the dams we can enjoy. And we have our lovely hippo here. But we saw a double B just now. What is a double B, you may say? It's a buffalo butt. It's just that it's out of view at the moment and we can't cross the dam wall. And I'm also hearing buffaloes, but we just can't get to them. I think, Paul, if you're up for a challenge, can you see this bush willow in front of us here that's just kind of curved over? Right there, you've got it in the middle. I'm sure we'll be able to see part of a buffalo through there. A little to the right. Ta-da! There is a buffalo there in the background. Yep, I'm gonna count that one. Hopefully it'll move so we can get a better look. But yes, you are in the correct spot. So hopefully there's an entire herd around. But they definitely haven't been coming from the direction I had to come from. And if the whole herd is around, there's possibly lions that are following. Everyone's been trying to find the lions today. Tristan and I did cheetah cut line, or that eastern boundary with me earlier, trying to look for tracks, and just the tracks from this morning. So we're going to hope that we see the lions. Unfortunately, I know that FC just tried to speak to me, but it was completely messed up. So I think I may be sending you somewhere, but I'm not sure. There we go. That's much better. Well, Tristan has a much better view of some beautiful elephants, but I'm going to wait here for these buffalo to peek out.
A good view of elephants, but alas, they have moved off. They were sitting nicely under a marula tree, but have now started to move away and kind of down the slope. You can see those marulas there is where they were all kind of positioned and having a little feed. But since then, they've kind of taken a weird angle. I'm going to try to see if I can find a gap where we can see them without having to go too far down the slope, because the slope is causing us a little bit of issues when it comes to our signal. So we'll just try and stay up here. They should start to appear pretty quickly from there. You'll notice a few impalas and then a whole bunch of ellies that will start to kind of move towards the marulas where those impalas are also standing. It's always nice when you come onto Chitta and you've got these herds of elephants on this open clearing. These guys have just come from the dam when we first arrived. And they started moving up onto the clearing, and it's because at this stage there's still some marula fruits that are around, and that's why they're taking advantage of it. So Katie, the marulas, there's a lot of animals that benefit from it, not just ellies. So any marula fruit that, let's say, an ellie doesn't eat that it steps on, you'll find giant African land snails will eat them, funny enough, which is pretty cool. You'll get birds that will peck at them. You'll get squirrels that will eat the nut inside of the seed of a marula, so they don't eat the fruit itself, but they will at least get some nutrition from the nut. And then you'll find things like kudu, giraffe, I've seen zebra, impalas, nyalas, all eating marulas, and what they do is they pick them up and then they bite them, and they basically drink the juice rather than actually eat the marula itself. So they're not that interested in basically the fruit, because there's very little fruit on a marula. For those of you, all right, now talking about birds eating fruits and squirrels eating fruits and all those kinds of things, it sounds like Steve has got an animal that is latched onto a fruit at the moment.
There we do, he's down a bit, he's running along the side, down more, there we go. We've just watched him, everybody, eat this entire marula fruit, and now he's cleaned that entire thing clean of the marula fruit, which is so marvelous to see. Now he's going to, or she, I'm not sure, going to get the kernel out, or it's not, it's going to take it back to base camp. Oh, what a jump. Sorry, it's going behind us now, very unfortunate, down to the right there. Where's he going? Down. Sorry, Johan. Here he goes. He's going to go stash it. He's obviously got a home somewhere. No, it's going to come all the way back. Not quite sure where it's going. It's probably going to be us later. We're trying to find our way home. Up and over. It's making you work. Oh, he was just figuring out another way down. So let's clean the marula fruit. Sorry about the back of our car there. Clean the marula fruit. A little bit more work to be done. And they're actually able to take off the little cap. Don't go that way. Yes, that way is okay. Yep. Going to go stash it away. Maybe for some winter supply. So that was so cool to see. So cool to see. Such nice... Oh, he's going up the branch there again. There on the left, top left. Really playing for us nicely, the squirrel is. Got him there, Johan. Sorry, I'm in your way. And through the knobthorn. He's definitely not letting anything follow. Go stash those fruits for later. So many animals benefit from the marula. Very, very high in vitamin C. Very tasty, very juicy. When it's ripe, when it's not that ripe, it's a bit sour. Locally, people make very nice juice, and if you ferment it a bit, you can make a lovely beer. Okay, well, our squirrel's gone. I'm enjoying the shade of the marula tree and a little bit of a view. He reacted a bit just before he came to us because a bird of prey flew over that all the birds are going crazy for. I'm not sure, Bobby Blue. I don't know the weight of each of the fruits that he eats, but they'll be busy all day. But bearing in mind, it's not just the fruit they eat. They'll eat seeds and they'll eat the nut inside. And squirrels have very high energy needs. Any small animal, very high energy requirements. There's not necessarily the amount, but it's the energy that comes with the food. So it's all about quality. There's no bulk eating for these fellows. No bulk eating. So it's all about high energy. And then they sleep. They have a little sugar rush. Sugar rush and then nap time. We've all experienced that, have we? I have no doubt. Beautiful. Beautiful to see. Okay. Oh, before we go, we've got some wonderful bird in the road there, busy dust bathing. Just before we send you back over to Djuma, the red-billed hornbills in the road here, busy dust bathing. The one on the right, having a splendid time. Oh, there's yellowbill. There we go, that's how it's done. And the one on the right is doing the same. They're quite happy to see some dry ground. I'm sure we're all looking for some dry ground. A really nice time of day in the afternoon after lots of wetness. I've just pulled my binoculars out and the strap is still wet, so I forgot to put them out to dry today. Everything is enjoying the heat and the sunshine and the dryness. The red-billed and the yellow-billed hornbill. You can see the size difference of the beaks, although I think the one on the right is a juvenile. It's interested to know who this friend is. Don't go playing with strangers. You see, it's not very friendly. It's my sandy patch here. And there's lots of ants, insects coming out on the ground now. It's not just a place for bathing, it's a place for munching and having a snack. Always encroaching on this spot again. This is what we call inter-specific competition. Oh, he won that battle. Well done. Well done, young fellow. There we go. That's the nice spot right there. I could think of nothing worse, though, after being wet for a few days, going and rolling in sand. No. Very fluffy. You can see it, but lacking a bit of feathers on the neck, it seems. It seems to be a juvenile, and the beak's very short. Only been out of the nest for a few weeks, maybe a month. Johan was asking me why there's so many hornbills here now, and I said I can assure you at Djuma there's as many hornbills because Johan was in Djuma in January. In January, all the females would have been in the nest on the eggs, and all the chicks obviously would have been in eggs still. Then sometime in January, the eggs hatched, and suddenly there was double the amount of hornbills around. And because the season has been so good, there's so many insects, so much food around, potentially every hornbill family successfully reared 3, if the individual survived. Reared 3, so suddenly you've got the female emerging, so that's double the population, and another 3 times exits and comes out to feed. There we go, you can see another red-billed. Wants to come and steal this one's sandy patch. Feels a bit safer now, there's someone else to watch, you see. Same as the impalas earlier. They all enjoy to have someone else watching the area. Okay, well, we're going to move on, head over to this watching hole, and we're going to send you over to Tswalu Kalahari with their wild dogs.
Welcome back to the Kalahari. Look at this beautiful animal that's now just shifted a bit to these right-hand side, or her right-hand side, shall I say. There, we actually had a bit of more activity on the beta male that's been walking up and down, and the alpha female has actually walked out once or twice looking at the conditions and everything. But yeah, they're still testing the climate and the temperatures out and about, just checking if it's the right time to go yet. You can see the head jerking up there as they're all coming about. There could be something actually walking into the area right now, but yeah, that I see her head on the other dog is dropping down as well now. But yeah, looking at this conditions, they're just looking to get to that right adequate temperature, as it is obviously to go out for a proper hunt this afternoon. You can see the tail waving and wagging there from side to side. The fly is still irritating them quite a lot. Yeah. So the collar that you see there on this particular wild dog female, these collars, as I've mentioned yesterday morning, and touched a bit on the topic a bit on the collar situations. The collars are there specifically because they're endangered species, we gotta have to monitor these dogs daily as it is. Look at that beta male just suddenly coming out. So that collars are there so we can monitor their movement daily on a mapping system, as we can look at it on Tswalu. And so as we can see the movement of these dogs regularly moving up and down in different movements every day, we could see if they have come from the south or to the north or whatsoever. So we don't want any situations where they do break out from a reserve or whatsoever. Because the thing is, if they do, they could easily go missing. And who knows where you're going to find them. And then we just can't afford to lose any wild dogs in Africa. And they could just go missing. So yeah, the thing is that we get to a point that it is very important that we monitor these critically endangered species through that collar system. And it works with these satellite movements that comes through. And there's actually quite a lot of satellite movement in the Kalahari. But yeah, quite cool that we can track them down like that. And it's one of the conservation methods that we're making use of in this environment to help save the species. So eventually, obviously, they're going to have pups. We will not put collars on pups, or if those pups grow older to about 2 years of age or so, there's enough collars on these dogs already. But yeah, that helps a bit with the tracking events as well, which is partly the reason of how we found them fairly early this afternoon, actually. The collars would take us to at least the last spot where they were at, and that would actually be able to take us to the spot where they were sleeping, and then being able to follow the tracks from there is how we will get to them. Or generally, if it was updating in the middle of the day, you could go through to the spot where they're still resting and hoping to find them in that spot. You can see these dogs are starting to become a bit more restless now, as they are as they're starting to look up every now and again. Lassie, you are so young asking such an intelligent question. You're asking, why do the wild dogs have such big ears? Now, Lassie, when these wild dogs are hunting and they move out and about on a hunt, it is very important for them to listen very carefully. And when they do hunt, obviously they hunt into the wind. So those ears, every now and again on a trotting motion while they're hunting, they look at those ears forwards facing, and they would stop in an event like this. And those big buckets for ears can listen into the wind for over 10 kilometers and even more. And this is the crazy thing, being such a top successful predator. They make use of those ears quite a lot through that function. And the other thing is also, as they're trotting and they're moving through the bush, always skew into the wind or upwind, it gets to a point that they will then be able to listen, obviously detect and hear if there's potential threats for other predators that could be a potential threat in the situation to them as well. But yeah, ears on wild dogs are very important for communication as well and amongst themselves. So as they're hunting in this pack formation, the ears will be indicators as well to the rest of the pack. So you'll have, for instance, if they're trotting, they go like a patrolling unit from like a broad band trotting through the bush. And so the front running dogs in the front, that's indicating to the rest of the pack unit behind them following. While they're hunting, they send indicators to the rest of the pack through these ears. So the ears will go backwards, folding into the neck, folding downwards, and this would be indications to the rest of the pack that they possibly detected something in front, and that it's go time. It's time for them to chase something, or the indication that the pack needs to be ready because it's about to happen shortly where they're going to chase it, or chase a specific animal, or that there's something happening in front. So yeah, we're gonna still remain sitting with these dogs and just see whenever they get active. We promise you we will show you this beautiful motion as they're gonna get going on a hunt whenever that happens.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off. Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest. There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making. This is the first leucistic zebra I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, here comes a lion. Run, little guy. Go on.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it?
Has it just pretended to be dead? That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live on the Chobe River? It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head. Oh, you clever mare. Well done.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
welcome back to a much more active dog. The beta male's just gotten up and he's just dropping some of the last deposits there, as you can look at it. And so typically when wild dogs get active, they would get to that situation where they go to just lessening out or making themselves feeling a bit lighter. That's the alpha male approaching him there. Beautiful, beautiful male. Look at the color variation on that. So alpha male on the left, beta male on the right. There comes the alpha female, and up we go with the meet and greet. I'm just going to keep quiet for now. I want you actually to hear the audio coming out of this meet and greet display. So it's a fairly quiet one actually still. But generally they sing a lot to each other and they dance and they jump and everything. But maybe it's still a situation where they just, because that's not a full-on display happening. Yeah, you see they're settling in again. So that the temperatures are a bit too hot still. And it's very, very important that they gotta, through these rituals, feel what the body feels like when it's moving actually in these temperatures. And so they know what to do in these type of conditions. When is the right adequate time for them to get going? But the excitement level for themselves almost started to happen. But you can see that beta male, he's constantly looking up, looking for the go-ahead and the green light to go up and appear from the alpha pair to say, okay, it's go time. It's time for us to go look for something to eat. Craig, you're asking what projects are currently happening in, well, I don't know if it's Tswalu or specifically in Africa, but in Tswalu we have had, specifically on Tswalu we monitoring the dogs quite closely and trying to see that the population goes up quite dramatically and so on. So the thing is that, say for instance there's a bit of an injury happening at a given point or whatsoever, then we would have to get a vet in just because they're critically endangered. An injury to such an extent that you could see, okay, we're about to possibly lose this particular individual. Guys, it's quite interesting. Just after that slight bit of a ritual that happened there, these animals are actually about to go. So we're going to try, stick with them if they move out and about as they go. We'll just make sure first which direction they're going to go to before we really make the decision on where we're going to go through to cutting through this dense bush where they were lying down. Yeah, so the projects that is run on the reserve itself mostly is just closely monitoring systems happening. We're constantly looking at what's the conditions are like, are they doing well, and whatsoever. I mean, we will not intervene with nature, but the thing is, if there is a situation where we can help an injured animal, an endangered animal, for instance, then we would actually help that animal. Guys, we're going to try just pull around this bush and see if we can get some better visual there quickly. Lying down on that side. Let's try to push through there on the other side there. Folks, we're going to send you quickly over to Tswalu.
It is the most stunning scene on quarantine. Here is a ground hornbill. I want you to listen and then also watch the way it lurches its body forward each time it calls. So cool. That is so cool. It's also got something in its mouth. these guys are quite savage predators. Take even something as big as a scrub hare. It actually looks like a branch in its mouth, though. When I have a look at my binos, it's actually just a piece of something, but definitely a branch with some leaves. Oh, doesn't it just show you how much effort it takes to produce this sound? Its whole body moves. We actually stopped here because of another beautiful animal that was hanging around a quarantine, and then we heard the southern ground hornbill make its call. Just take a moment to take this whole scene in, because it is beautiful. The grass, green, bits of yellow here and there. Some elephants to top it all off. And the calming sound of a helicopter overhead. Lara Moore, you'd like to know if I think the ground hornbill is calling because it has a gift for its mate. That was my first thought. But I can't hear anything else. And I can't see anything else. But it's just moved and gone up the tree now. But we'll keep an eye and an ear out. That is a very, very possible explanation. Oh, bless you, little one. So pretty. It almost doesn't even look like quarantine anymore. So take a moment to enjoy the soft setting sun on these elephants. The green and yellow of the vegetation and that lovely sky in the background. Maybe our hornbill will call again to tie it all together. So many subtle sounds to hear, and a really nice moment to share with you all. A couple deep breaths, because this is really nice and relaxing. Everything has cleared up so beautifully. I think that tomorrow is going to be another stunner. The type of days that we're used to seeing in a Juma summer. Can feel the wind start to mute. So soft. Everything about this feels so soft. Barbara Brown used to say, what a peaceful scene. Certainly. It feels there's nothing harsh about the way that it looks. It's just soft and warm. Our ground hornbill has now taken a seat in the tree, and we don't have a great view. I hoped you heard that buzzing of the bee that just passed my face too. Enjoy all the sights and sounds. Well, we have some questions. Nika Nova would like to know if animals can get allergic, or elephants particularly can get allergic to plants. Allergies are not a very well understood thing. They can develop in adulthood. They can remain from childhood. And what it is your body producing a histamine response to something. Whatever it is. But it's not very well understood. Oh, look at this. Just precious. And as for other animals experiencing it, I have no idea. And because the mechanisms of the way allergies work is, like I said, poorly understood, then I think that it would even be more difficult to see symptoms, etc., in wild animals, especially when we're so used to the symptoms that we see in ourselves. But that is an excellent question. I think I might do some research on that tonight. That will be tonight's research. This little one is quite a cutie. Oh. So much fun to be had with a stick. Yeah, through the winter, it's so easy to hear elephants from quite a distance because of that characteristic snapping and cracking and breaking of branches, stripping of trees, movement through dry grass, well, no grass at that time, but dry leaves. So characteristic to hear them. And now, so difficult, so difficult. I'd be able to hear elephants that were far away, a kilometer away. They'd break a big branch or a trunk or something like that. You'd be able to hear it, the rustling. But now absolute silence when they're not even 50 to 100 meters from us. That's it, 60 meters. Well, I wonder if you heard that. But it sounds like that Avoca male is calling. I'm just gonna sit and listen for a little bit. He almost sounds like the ground hornbill. Alright, I'm gonna send you quickly over to Tswalu, and while I follow up on this lion.
Welcome back, folks. So as you can see, these dogs have gone through to a much more active phase, and it looks like they're going into a dense bush section here. We've seen a couple of oryx in front on the other side of this dense bushy section here, but these dogs are looking very attentively as you look at that beta male's nose actually coming into the air there, just trying to sniff and trying to smell out what's happening and what's going on, as they're trying to figure out what's the case with any animals that's possibly around here. So, I mean, just so incredible to be able to follow these dogs on a hunt like this as they go through. Just incredible. I hope we can keep up with them in this thicket here. It's quite dense in here, actually. But yeah, there's you can see they were moving through in that certain section. We did just move around this bush here quickly. But there's a few oryx that was up front here just now, so we just hope we not losing their visual in this dense thicket here. At least it looks like it's clearing up a bit in the front there. So I was saying to Morgan just now, what's happening is these dogs would be missioning up and about, constantly looking, trying to smell on scent of animals, and it looks like they were just about to get to the scent of the oryx in front there. So what they do is they hunt into the wind, skew into the wind, or in a situation where they get to a point. Lynette, you're asking, how does the pack decide who's the alpha and who's the beta and so on? You get dogs that's just much more dominant and a bit more skilled up, if I can put it that way. And so it gets to that point that they will, within that skill and knowledge, determine amongst themselves who's better for leadership and who's better for hunting and who's better for which functionality in the pack itself. But yeah, basically it comes down to that situation that they would be sometimes battling it out a tiny bit here and there if it's a new pack, but itself gets decided, and once it gets decided, then it will stick to their guns, if I can put it that way, in that situation. So we're going to just quickly move around this little hill in front of us here, this little dune. Going to have to just try find, it doesn't look like they came through to this western sections here. I have to just try find and see where they pop out on the other side of the dune here. They've been moving pretty quick, actually. Or starting to speed up, shall I say. The thickets are quite dense in this spot here. So as you can see, it clears up a bit here in front now. And where these dogs are coming through to is actually a bit more of a clearer section where these oryx were actually at, where they were looking for them. Yeah, so the wind has turned a bit coming out of this direction. The oryx is just in front of us, lining up over there. We'll see just now where these dogs are popping out. They just came through the bush now. I'm quite surprised that they started moving so early actually this afternoon. I mean, yes, they're quite hungry as it is. But you're looking at the conditions and everything, it's still quite hot, but it shows you how strong desert animals could be pushing their limits as it is getting to situations. We just want to make a quick loop through back to where we left them there and see what we can get here. But the dogs move so quick when they move there. So as I mentioned, they move into the wind as they hunt or skew into the wind as they go through. And so they caught that angle at that point where they've gone through. It looks like they're missing that oryx because the wind is coming out of the northwestern direction and the oryx is standing more in a northeastern direction. And as they were approaching this area, it was still quite a bit when they were walking through the dense area. But it seemed like they almost got to see that animal actually there. But yeah, I think they could have possibly missed that oryx. They won't really go, I mean, the small pack like they are. So, Danica, you've just asked, does the wild dogs get injured by the oryx? It is very possible for them to get injured by the oryx, but it gets to a point that they have got extreme good flexibility and skill and knowledge and everything. So then it comes down to that situation that they'll know how to deal with the oryx attacking system, and so it is. The wild dogs also got extremely good strategies of hunting as it goes through, where they will circle the animal in and try confuse the oryx as it is. But as I was saying, it gets to a point that they will literally make sure of it in total that there's rather calves and babies in that particular herd present that they could go for when they're hunting on those oryx. They would rather, a small pack like this would rather not go for oryx, big oryx that's on their own, because they know how accurate those oryx are with their horns. Could injure them quite badly as it is. So now, obviously we lost visual, so we're gonna just keep on going here, just try to figure out which directions are the tracks going again, and see what we can do, obviously, to locate here again. They did go through this area of the thicket. I don't know if they literally just discovered, you know what, maybe we should just give it a bit more time and lie down and relax. So we're going to send you over to Ngala for tiny little creatures.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everyone. And we have had to leave that lioness. But we have managed to find a beautiful pack of dwarf mongoose. And if you have a look, you'll see they are quite interested in that hornbill, but the hornbill doesn't seem too fazed by it. And you'll quite often see these two species together, being the dwarf mongoose and southern yellow-billed hornbill. And that's because they will be able to feed together. What the mongooses don't manage to catch and flies up, then the hornbill will be able to hawk it and catch it out the air. What I've noticed most about this specific scenario in front of us is the beautiful light on the hornbill and on the mongoose. That perfect afternoon golden light coming out. Really is stunning. You can see they're quite busy foraging. It's got nice and cool for them and being out in the open. Maybe just getting in those last few rays of sun before it sets and it starts to cool down a little bit. Look at that one in the road, lying flat. Almost looks like they're toying with this hornbill. You can see their tiny little pink noses and dark brown eyes. Definitely one of my favorite animals to see out in the bush. They do tend to become quite inquisitive as well, and you'll often see them coming closer to the vehicle. See these two on the far right, and do you see how they move in and out of the grass? So on the road for a little bit, just getting a bit of an understanding of what's going on around them, and then they move off into the grass because that's where, or the more likely area where they're going to find some of the food that they're after, and it could be anything this time of year. I can imagine them eating lots of insects with there being lots of insects around. And then there will be also many other options on the table, from scorpions to smaller snakes, anything that they'll come across. You can imagine with the whole pack of them, they'll be able to overpower some larger prey species as well. I completely agree with you, dear watcher. They are incredibly playful and they do look very sweet. And I think the light just exemplifies it this afternoon. Oh, running across. There's one that's been left behind on the left-hand side of the road as well. Good to spend a little bit of time here and see if they come right close towards the vehicle. Look, they might move off into the grass, and as you can see, once they do go off to the grass, there's absolutely no chance that we will be able to see them. But if we just sit here nice and quietly, they might come right up close towards us. See how they every now and then stand up on just their back legs as well. And the grass is almost twice as tall as they are, even when they're standing on their back legs. But that just gives them another little bit of an advantage to see around them for any predators that might be lurking in the areas. Things like goshawks, some of the smaller birds of prey as well. They've got to keep a good eye out, because if those birds spot them before they spot them, they could become the birds' dinner. Very tentative looking around. Incredibly alert little animals. So as they forage from area to area, and as it gets darker, they will then start looking for a place to rest. So Anna Marie, that is exactly what I was thinking. I've seen that video so many times where the little mongoose plays dead next to the hornbill, and I was hoping that would happen today. When that one got flat on its belly, I was hoping that would happen, but unfortunately it looks like they might have moved off the road. So I think I'm just going to maybe give it 10, 15 more seconds, see if they don't come back. But if they don't come back, I don't think we're going to get another view of them. So we'll just keep going on our route. And we are heading from where that lioness was. I'm going to start going now. From where the lioness was, where we left her, we are now heading back towards the causeway to get across to the other side of the river. And see if we can find anything. We might even go up to one of the higher points on Ngala to see if we can get the sunset on, which is going to be quite beautiful tonight, I think. But for now, we're going to send you over to Pridelands. We've also got a lovely scene.
Nice one, Nick. Well, how interesting. Ground hornbills and mongoose. The mongoose must be careful, because they could easily turn into a snack with the ground hornbill. Very interesting. Well, everybody, we're back on Pridelands. We've made it to Leopard Dam, and well, it is a beautiful afternoon and a beautiful scene. And as always, we're going to just switch off and allow you to just enjoy the silence. Beautiful colours. Just make out the Drakensberg in the distance. Slayton, it is beautiful, the light on the water. Wonderful reflections. And there's actually a road that goes straight through here on the right, which we're not going to do because well, it's half underwater and I don't know how deep it is, so we rather go around when you do eventually decide to leave. But I came here with Anton, the head of Eco Training, years ago, when the property we first acquired, and we actually saw a leopard here. That's probably where it got its name from. Just on a random little drive here. Me and another couple people. You're like, oh, there's a leopard drinking over there. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. I think it was a male leopard. So many of you wonder how many of the roads and watering holes and the like get their names, and it's very much like that when people move on to a property and maybe they're putting some roads in, or there's already roads there and they're trying to design or decide, and things happen and they just go, oh, there's a leopard at that dam, and that's simple as that, leopard dam. And then the other one, obviously there were elephants there, and well, we'll call that Elephant Dam or Ndlovu Dam. So many of the roads, because you must imagine when you've got many roads to name, you don't want to be naming them Chaucer or King Edward or any of these names like we find in many of the suburbs in South Africa and Johannesburg. Many of the suburbs have gone by sort of poets or kings or whatever it might be. They had to get very original to put them in a certain sort of order. But out here, try to keep it quite original and unique, but obviously there's going to be many names that are quite interchangeable with other areas. But that's okay. This is this area. Beautiful scenes on this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed it with us, and maybe send through a little one-word tweet about how this afternoon's scene felt for you.
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth Camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh,
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam-ops might disagree.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
We have a baby pangolin. A baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back, everyone, and look what we've managed to find, another bull elephant, believe it or not. There seems to be heaps of these young bull elephants around Ngala at the moment, and all of them on their own, moving around independently of each other. And you can see how he is placing some forbs and weeds in his mouth that he's found in this beautiful clearing. Have a look at that right tusk as well, really beautiful, long, thin tusk. So I think he's going to become quite a big bull as he gets older and older. And if you have a look on the back right-hand side of his bum as well, there's quite a bit of dry mud there. So you can imagine when it got nice and hot today, he must have gone past one of the many mud wallows that are full at Ngala and just used his trunk to grab a bit of mud and throw it on himself to cool off a little bit. Now that it's cooling down a lot, I think he's probably going to spend the majority of the evening feeding and moving around in this beautiful clearing that we have here. Lots of lush grass for him to pick from and choose. And really stunning. You can see how his tail is also flicking from side to side. And I'm sure there are a few insects and flies that are starting to bother him a little bit. Must still be a little bit hot with those ears flapping, but they're not flapping as much as they would be if he was very, very warm. So just trying to keep cool a little bit more. And these young bulls this time of year, as I mentioned this morning, they don't have to move very big distances to find what they are after, whether it's food or water. They can move slowly around, pick and choose where they want to go. No real big long travels that they have to make in order to find any food or water. Some also really beautiful sounds. Late evening here at Ngala, and the birds are starting to give their final chorus before heading to bed and starting to roost for the evening. Nice couple of crested francolins calling around us at the moment. And so how's that sky in the background? What a view. David, it is an amazing evening chorus. It's what a privilege to be out here and to be able to listen to the chorus like this. It truly is stunning. And for someone who gets to work in the bush, you often get to hear it almost every single evening. So it is a treat to end off every day with. So yeah, he's starting to move, not move too far, just slowly moving around, picking and choosing what he's after. Doesn't seem to be in a rush to get anywhere this afternoon. Last bird that just called was a Swainson spurfowl as well. So Sinak's asking if I've ever seen elephants rolling around in mud, and I have seen it a couple times. I was desperate to try and find it today, but we just didn't manage to find it. We did find a few wallows that had been used in the last maybe day or so by herds and by bulls. And it is quite a spectacle to see. It's quite humorous. They do really, especially the younger ones. For the bigger ones, it's a little bit more difficult for them to get down and really roll around in the wallows. For the little ones, it's a little bit easier. So the bigger ones tend to throw mud on themselves with their trunk more so than roll around, but it is quite a spectacle to see. It can be humorous as well. So yeah, he's moving now away from the grass and starting to feed on a bush. I'm just trying to see what bush it is. I actually can't see from here. Look how dexterous that trunk is again, going right into the branches, pulling off the leaves that he's after. Not breaking too many, just breaking the little stems that are coming off the bigger branches with all the leaflets on. And it just doesn't stop feeding. They just feed and feed all day long. just going to take a few minutes to just watch him feeding there and just listen to some of the sounds that we have around us. Incredibly peaceful afternoon. We've been speaking about the elephants feeding on all the marulas this time of year. I wonder if this young male hasn't been feeding on marulas all day long and he's now a little bit sick of them and moving on to different options, hence the grass and that tree that he's feeding off. I think it might be one of the acacias, but I can't see exactly. Or the Senegalias or Vachellias are their new names for the genus. You can see on his back there as well, on his shoulder, there's also a little bit of dry sand. So potentially after he's been wallowing or had been wallowing earlier this morning, might have thrown some dry sand on his back. You can actually see it quite clearly on the back left, just behind his back, front left shoulder. Odie's just pointed it out. I did hear it just before he let me know, but we have just also heard some lions calling directly behind us. We are quite close to our eastern boundary, so I think they might be just off Ngala. But I wonder if it couldn't be that group of the Birmingham Pride that we've been waiting to come back onto the property, the group with the 2 white lions, we think. We're not 100% sure because we haven't seen them, we haven't heard any updates for a few days now, but we really are hoping that they come back onto Ngala soon. His tail's still just going from side to side. I mean, since we've been sitting here, he hasn't moved very far at all. Maybe 20 meters in total. Seems to be very relaxed where he is right now. I tend to see that with most of the animals, especially the herbivores at this time of evening. It's just such a peaceful time that even they tend to relax a little bit more. I mean, elephants relax most of the day, but I think this time when it is nice and cool and they know it's going into night time, they tend to enjoy it quite a bit. Kashmir, I am so glad that your cuddly elephant toy is happy to see some members of his family. And I'm sure if this elephant saw that little toy of yours, he would also be quite happy. You can see him there. He's just moving off behind the bush that he was feeding on into the thicket. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get another view of him. I think I might edge forward a little bit, but if we don't come right with the view, I'm just going to keep going and see if we can head towards an area where we can get the last little part of the sunset for everyone. The lighting around us at the moment is absolutely stunning. This is the area where we were last night as well. If you remember, we had some frogs around and the 2 spotted eagle owls that we saw on the road. So I wonder if they won't be around tonight again. We have been seeing them here in this area quite a lot recently. So we're just going to keep an eye out around us in the trees and along the road. And who knows, we might be able to find them. I did try and see if we could see that elephant again, but unfortunately there's just too many magic worries around here. It's very, very thick, so we're not going to get a chance to see him again, but who knows, maybe there might be another elephant in front of us as well. So we're going to keep on our way and we're going to send you over to Tshala at Djuma for an update.
Well, Nick, I also was hoping to find some lions before the drive ends, and apparently it feels like there's all 3 of the evokers on the property, or rather 2 of them, because one is calling from Little Gowrie, one seems to be calling from this block to the right of me, and then one seems to be calling towards Rebecca Zoe's, which is to the north of me. And what's in the center of all of that, you may ask? The hyena den. So at the moment, thought I heard them again. So at the moment, all sound is coming from the middle of a block of blocks, so we can't go anywhere. So we're all kind of mooching around the blocks in the hope that we'll listen, because the sound of the vehicle is to drown out everything else. So if we could just be still somewhere we can still... Excuse me, these little bugs keep flying into my mouth. Excuse me. Where we can still see some cool action and visit our dear hyena friends, but then also listen out for our evoker males. It's quite interesting because obviously there's no off-roading. So everyone is just kind of packed along the roads listening, and they're calling, and it's just frustrating because you can't go there. So let us see if our friends are out. The light is so beautiful. It's got this kind of pinky orange tinge to it. Hello? Is anybody home? Debbie! Hello, Debbie. We'd like to know if hyenas ever hunt at night. Hang on, let's just plop us here. They certainly do. Hyenas hunt whenever they can. For most animals, that is the case. Predators, that they hunt when they can. Of course, there's certain animals that are nocturnal, certain animals that are diurnal, but you will find... She's looking at something behind us. You will find that they'll just take the opportunity that they can. This looks like Intima. What are you doing, Intima? Hearing something else. Yep, definitely Intima. No. No. No, no, no. And there goes our hyena den sighting. Short but sweet, guys. Yeah. I'm not sure what else to tell you, except that now I'm gonna have to leave. I can hear some ruffling about. So glad to share this moment with you. So glad. Anyway, let me move out maybe towards Treehouse Dam, see if there's some action there. So many things happening, my favorite time of the day. So many sounds to follow up on. So let me send you over to Tswalu while I just calm down a little bit.
Welcome back, folks, and look at what we have just found while we're following these dogs. We have unfortunately lost them through that dense area. It was quite a thick spot that we have had them coming through there, and when we came back to the front of the loop again, they literally just missed us. Well, we just missed them then. But I think they're heading up to a waterhole further in the north. But look at the scenery that we've come across while we're trying to relocate here. You're seeing the Kori bustard in the front ground of the oryx, and the Kori bustard is the largest flying bird in the world, actually. I've always thought it's only in Africa, but it's actually bigger than an albatross. It's massive. So this bird can easily clear the width of most vehicles, actually. If you look at the sharp, broad bill, it's actually a very sharp, broad bill there that's indicating exactly what this bird is all about. It's called from the type of feeding that it does, it's called a stabber and a grabber. And being a stabber and a grabber, it actually stabs the insect quickly to death with the sharp bill, but being broad enough, it can quickly grab it as well as it goes. So pretty cool actually seeing this Kori bustard walking through, and a rather large herd of oryx. So the Kori bustard is actually the national bird of Botswana. So that's actually pretty cool, thinking about how many things have this bird to it that carries quite a bit of importance actually. Very cool seeing these oryx coming through. Quite a nice herd of females. Huge herd of females. It just got a fright there of something in the background there as well. But yeah, as we're coming through, we're sort of dictating where these dogs have been coming through to. And as we've seen this herd of oryx, we thought, okay, well, the dogs could have been coming through. You can see there's a younger oryx there on the center of the three on the right-hand side. But yeah, a nice herd of females and youngsters coming through. Now, the dogs could take down young oryx within this herd, typically. But the thing is, these oryx are all quite grown and big, so it's possible the dogs could have, I mean, the young oryx in the herd would be quite protected by the older oryx in the herd. And for a small pack of dogs of only 4 dogs, you could get to a point where they're just going to get going past them. Because oryx is quite dangerous with those horns as it is. So what our plans are now, there's a waterhole, like I've mentioned, further north from here. And at that waterhole, there could be potential chances of those dogs going through to that water point where there's a lot of animals going to drink there. Morgan, there's a warthog actually coming through. Just in amongst the 3 thorns there's one bush to the right-hand side. And you can zoom in again. So just, yeah, a bit more right and to the front ground. Yeah, so you'll see him every now and again. He pops through right in front of that bush. That you zoom out a bit again. Yeah, so there's a lot of food resources for the dogs in this particular area. You see that flat bush section there, Morgan? So you go to the right of that, and it's in the front ground. Yeah, more or less that. But you'll see with your naked eye as it's coming through in the plains there as well. There's a dark thing there. And so that's a big warthog actually coming through in that spot there. And there's a lot of food that could be dictating for the movement of these dogs. I mean, that's typically the size of food that the dogs could be going for. You can see him on the screen there now. That's a big size warthog actually. And for the dogs to get up to something like that, that is really, really prime food if we're looking at that condition. Now the wind is coming straight out of these animals' directions. And where these dogs have been coming from, they could have smelt them. They could be on their way to this, or they could have turned towards that waterhole. So our plan is going to be at the end of the day to actually move over to that waterhole and see if those dogs rock up there, and we could possibly follow them furthermore from that location. You can see how the vegetation is covering this warthog every now and again so much, which is obviously the reason why Morgan was battling to find it there in the beginning, because by the time he's seen it, it's gone in behind the bushes again. 3-thorn thicket being quite high in this area. Laura Moore, you are saying that you love the contrast of the green 3-thorn thickets and the yellow grass. It is so fantastic seeing that true image of the green Kalahari. And in this particular ecotype that we're sitting in right now, this is such a different area again as opposed to what we've seen this morning in the dune fields, for instance. And this 4th ecotype in the west is so different. Obviously having quite a bit of different animals in here. Oryx is quite widely distributed all over the Kalahari. So yes, they're just coming through for that patch of grass over there. But yeah, as they're widely distributed, you will find them at the end of the day as a general antelope all over these different ecotypes of the Kalahari. where it becomes specified mostly with your high-profile species. You get them in specific regions, and then there are some antelope that sticks to certain areas and locations. It's gorgeous to see that Kalahari oryx just walking through these plains as it is. So beautiful. I guess we were kind of hoping as well that these dogs would have come up to smelling these animals and just coming past this location. Beautiful seeing these animals actually coming through. Just so secretively, almost high on alert, walking through an environment like this, because this area that we are in here is quite dense. So as it is that it gets to a point, they're still going to have to be very attentively looking at the conditions of how they actually would approach an environment like this. And so it's very important that they actually do this type of behavior in denser areas. But at the same time, we're losing the dogs in a dense area like this. But yeah, I mean, overall of Tswalu doesn't look like this. This is a small portion in the west that actually looks like this formation. But on the other hand, as we had the comment there, it is a very different, beautiful view of this area again. So 80% of Tswalu is a bit more clearer and open. And Tswalu is truly one of the most amazing destinations to be able to keep up with wild dogs being hunting and so on, just because we got the vast open spaces to do so. It's really special. So Anna or Hannah, couldn't really hear the name there specifically, but well, my apologies. It is a question that just come through there saying, or asking if the horns of the oryx are the tallest of them all. Oryx have got pretty long, tall horns. If you think about it, they can pull it. Even if you talk about horn lengths of antelope, you're talking about the inches of the horns basically, and you can easily get to horns of an oryx up to about 50 inches, 55 inches or so. But then you get kudus. Kudus being with the long curly horns, and the curls of the horns will make the length of the horn much longer. So kudus necessarily have much longer horns, and you're looking at situations like where the kudu could get to about 60-65 inches of horn length that you're looking at there. But yeah, it is incredible. Yes, it was just so special to see the Kori busted and seeing the oryx coming past, and then suddenly that warthog appearing from nowhere. But there's something else, hold on. Something else appearing out of the bush there now. And that something else is an African wild dog. So let's continue, and we see, but this warthog is literally just popping out in the thicket here. So what's happening is, as you can see, I don't know if you can see the head on the edge of the thicket line there, and they have smelt these animals as we've been looking at them. So myself and Morgan made the right decision. What's happening here with this, when we saw these animals, we were kind of hoping that these animals, obviously being a big cluster, a rather big cluster, having to smell the animals, and then suddenly the dogs have popped out here. I don't know if you can see it there, Morgan. Okay, go straight in. Go straight in, zoom in a bit more. I'm starting to lose the dogs there, actually. Okay, it's popping out again. Bit more right. Go a bit more right. Yeah, okay, there we go. Go straight in again. That's it, there we go. First wild dog popping up, and the ears are flat. So that's the indications that we were talking about earlier on. Seeing that head being flat out with the ears being flat turned to the back, and they have seen the warthog. So what we're about to see is this dog have just indicated to the rest of the pack that he's seen the warthog, and that's the front runner of the pack that you're literally seeing right there. So we're about to see a live hunt on live safari. It's happening right now. So this warthog is actually in the plains, and we're about to drop our voices as this is going to happen. If the chase is on, sound doesn't really matter then. But you can see that head being flat out, so we're waiting for that motion. I think they have seen the warthog moving. I think the warthog doesn't have a clue that this dogs have actually seen it and looking at it. You can see those ears just twitching from side to side. Julia, you're making a comment there. You're crossing your fingers. Julia, I'm crossing my fingers and my toes for this hunt for sure, big time. I mean, this is so incredible seeing this happening right now in front of us. I mean, just Morgan was saying earlier on, how are we going to find these dogs again? And we followed the tracks a tiny bit as that dog is approaching. Look at that. And so I said to him, let's follow our instinct, and we look at what they were going to do in this position as they were wanting to come through here. And suddenly we've seen these animals. I said to him, let's come. Let's go have a look and see if these animals are going to pop out here. And suddenly it happened. Man, this is such a blessing. So the warthog is right there in the screen, right there. And you will see the dog is approaching slowly, carefully. Now they're approaching this warthog very slowly, because the thing is, they have seen that the warthog is not actually noticed them yet. I can only see the one dog yet coming through the area. You see another one here? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Some more coming through. So now he's just very attentively looking at the condition. Look at these oryx coming through in front of us, like right here coming through in the front of us. And that's going to be the attention span. The dog is coming in. Look at the dog coming in, straight to the warthog, and the dogs are in. And they're with it. There they go, and the chase is on. It's happening right now. A live hunt on live safari. It's happening right now. Look at those ears going flat out on that warthog, coming straight past the oryx. Look at these dogs, and he just stopped. Man, it's crazy actually thinking about what's happening here right now. So the oryx has most probably just saved the life of that warthog. That is just crazy thinking about what's just happened here. Guys, we're literally seeing a live hunt on one of the rarest species in Africa right now. Yeah, that warthog could be so thankful for the life for this oryx being present in this condition, because the dogs would immediately stop in situations like this. And success is in the building. We're going to be sticking with these dogs. Furthermore, it looks like they're going to give up on that warthog. But it's interesting to see that there's only 2 dogs that popped out here. So the thing is that they're going to be in a situation where they most probably going to just wait for the other 2 dogs to rock up first. But these guys are the first 2 that's just found the scent of this big amount of animals here. And so as it is, we're going to have to just mission a bit with them and see what they get up to. So these were the first 2 eager characters that popped out here, and because they obviously got the scent of these animals, and so you're going to get now to a point where they're going to just relocate on the rest of them again. But because the breeze is coming out of that direction, blowing across towards us this way, the dogs have picked up on the scent. Instinct has just...
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Sometimes love wants to make you sing. And sometimes love wants to make you bow and fan your wings to your bow. For the southern yellow-billed hornbill, these are signs that love is in the air. These birds are destined for a season of monogamy at least. Breeding pairs are in it for the survival of their chicks. But before love commences, the male needs to woo his valentine with food in the form of nuptial gifts.
I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome back, everyone, and from an elephant bull we have now managed to find a buffalo bull. And there are a few more around, but as you can see, the grass around here is incredibly long. And you see how he's putting his head right down into the grass and thrashing it a little bit? I think it's got to do with the amount of insects and flies that are bothering him at the moment. There was another one that we saw horning a bush, and he has now started feeding, but I do think there's an incredibly large amount of flies here that are bothering these buffalo. And can you see he's got that strong helmet-like structure on the top of his horns? That is called the boss. That is a buffalo bull. Easiest way to identify him. And you can see how they've come into this nice dense vegetation to feed. Also gives them a lot of cover for the evening. Just on... oh. And he decides off he goes. It's a really beautiful area on Ngala, though. We are in the east again, and we tried to come for a sunset view this evening, and then these buffalo caught our attention, and I haven't seen a buffalo around Ngala for close to a week now. So it's really nice to see a bull. All the conditions are right to have them around here. There's lots and lots of grass, with the river being around as well. There's a nice amount of water to keep them cool. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sneak a little bit forward. Odie, have you got that one? Okay, we can see him a little bit, but I'm just going to try to sneak a little bit forward, see if we can get a bit of a better view. There are three there. I can also see one through there with his head just popping through. We might be able to get a view of this one through this tiny gap here. There you go. You can see he really is quite close to us. He's only probably about 5 meters away. Can you hear that noise of him pulling the grass as well? That is him feeding in this long grass. He'll be looking to feed on specific grasses around this area. Although at the moment it seems like he's enjoying pretty much everything that's to our right. And you can hear them feeding. There's one moving around in the bushes in the back as well. After a long hot day, I think just like that elephant bull we've had earlier, they've also been spending a bit of time in the mud wallows. I did see some mud on the first one we had in picture. You can also see a little bit of brown mud on this one. There's also a chance that they could be spending a bit of time inside the river. Often I've seen buffaloes where there is flowing water, especially during the heat of the day. They'll go and sit right in the middle of the river. Even though it's in the sun, which is quite hot, just being in that water and that flowing water cools them down really nicely. After a long hot day as well, like that elephant bull, these buffalo are starting to feed quite strongly. And these groups of buffalo, they tend to be older buffalo. I did see 2 of the 3 are rather old-looking buffalo. I'm just going to move back a little bit again. I think this one's going to come into the clearing where we first saw the first one. And these are old buffalo known as Duggar boys. Got to be one of my favorite animals to see around the bush just because they've got a lot of attitude. And you can see that one has got a really heavy boss on top of his head. His horns and his curls aren't that big, or the spread of his horns, as they are known as. But I mean, if you have a look in between, you can see him thrashing at those flies again. He's really not enjoying them. You can imagine them trying to get into his eyes for a little bit of moisture and into his ears as well. And it's prompting him to move, come even closer to us. Keeping his head right in the grass. Those flies and insects won't be able to get to those sensitive areas along his face in the grass. And look at that. What an awesome view. a little bit uncertain of us. Oh, there's another one coming through. And look how, we might not be able to see him, but he's got much wider horns. Vonnie is asking if buffaloes shed their skin, and I don't think that they do shed their skin. I do know, however, as they get older and older, they start to lose their fur. So, I mean, this very dark color of an old buffalo bull, as they get older, they tend to get darker and darker. And then once they've passed their breeding maturity and the time when they're at their strongest, and that's when they move out of the herds into these bachelor groups of Dagga boys, they tend to start losing their fur. So not really shedding them, but just like humans, as you get older and older, you tend to lose fur. You can see he's looked like he's lost quite a lot on his back as well. Yeah, this big buffalo with a really nice set of horns is coming through as well. Have a quick look on my binos. Oh, he's not too happy with us. You can see as some of them are moving past, the ones coming through right at the end, I think he came out of the Tswalu River, and he must have heard us speaking, so he must have known that we were here. But as one of his fellow buffalo bulls moved off, he was a little bit nervous being here on his own. So I think what we'll do is we'll try reverse again. I don't think they're going to be too difficult to find. I'm hoping that there's one in the open. And you can see he is starting to thrash the tree as well. So I'm just going to reverse. We might not have the best view of his face, but I just want to give him a little bit of space so that he feels comfortable. Oh, actually, there's a view of one at the back. It's a bit better. You see that one already? And you can see they're moving quite slowly through this dense bush, and a lot of the animals, especially the smaller ones, the antelopes, the zebras, the wildebeest, at night time, they tend to go for the big clearings to sleep in because that's where they feel a lot safer. But these buffalo bulls, being the large animals that they are actually able to defend themselves. So they don't mind spending times in the thickets. The lions, unless there's a really large pride, don't tend to bother them too much at this time of year because they have they're in such good condition because of the amount of grass and nutrients that's around for them to feed on. Quite cool to be able to just sit here and listen to them moving through the grass. You don't often associate buffaloes with lots of noise moving through the bush unless they are running. And here, just in the thickets, you can just hear them each and every now and then. You can hear one of them moving through, whether it's the grass or the bushes that's brushing up against them. So buffalo being more intimidating at night, Edward, I would tend to agree with you. They're pretty intimidating during the day as well. And at night time, I think it might be the infrared camera. So we have put it on just so that we don't shine spotlights on them. We don't really want to put a spotlight on a... Oh, I'm just going to turn off. He got a bit of a fright, so I'm just going to give him time to settle down again. But back on the infrared, we just don't want to be shining lights on the daytime animals because the spotlight can actually temporarily blind them and disorientate them a little bit. With the infrared, we watch their complete natural behavior at night, which is quite cool. And these buffalo seem to be moving off behind us. So I can see a couple more behind us, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to let them do their thing this evening. I'm pretty sure they're going to continue feeding for a while, and only much later they might rest and settle down. I'm going to grab our spotlight out of here if I can and see what else we can find this evening. I'm really hoping to find a chameleon. It's going to be a goal of mine while I'm on the show. Oh, I don't know if you can see how thick it is where we are, but we are on a road, believe it or not. It's just incredibly overgrown around us, and it's definitely one of the lushest parts of Ngala. Most of the areas along the Timbavati tend to be pretty lush, but this area specifically, so from our little green pea spider there that we've just managed to find, we're going to send you over to Tswalu, who's also got something small.
Sorry guys, I'm just looking at what appears to be a stick insect on the silver cluster leaf. It's tiny. Look at it compared to the size of the leaf. We just happened to stop here. Just have a bit of a listen for those lions again. Been on a mission trying to find them. And came across this little thing. And that is so tiny. It looks like it's adopted quite a defensive position. And it's not as if we're terribly close to it, so I wonder what's going on. How cool is that? I would have never seen that if I wasn't just looking at the right place at the right time. And that it happened to move at that exact moment. Doing all sorts of acrobatics for us. Listen to the beautiful sounds of the bush at night, and there's some water flowing near us too. As we watch the acrobatic displays of the stick insect. I have no idea what type it is or anything like that. It's just so tiny. I bet the certain actions are reminding you all of something. Like sometimes it looks like it's doing a little dance, and then other times it looks like it's in one of those buildings with a glass floor. Have you ever seen some people who get terrified of it and are scrambling? Kind of looks like that sometimes. Arrowhead, you say a walking stick. So cool. It really does appreciate that comment. Arrowhead, I do too, because I think it's very, very cool. Strangely, it looks quite comfortable in that position. Quite fun, I think. Oh gosh, I love when we're in the nighttime and it's summer and there's just an abundance of little critters around. And of course I was looking for a chameleon in the bushes when I found this guy. Really cool. Just a little bit shy, hiding his face from us. Very cool.
Back up after drinks. Are there any updates?
Devon, you'd like to know, what do stick insects eat? While they might have quite an extensive diet, their primary diet is vegetation. And it's actually quite a cool story. So every little insect or whatever that eats vegetation needs to have certain enzymes, or rather certain bacteria within them in order to digest cellulose, because we can't digest cellulose and general digestive systems can't digest cellulose. So they have to incorporate certain bacteria in order to do that digestion. But stick insects, actually that group altogether, however long ago, managed to ingest bacteria or whatever it is that had the genes in order to express enzymes that would be able to digest cellulose. So it's one of the few animals on the whole planet that actually has the DNA to produce those enzymes to digest cellulose, as opposed to having the actual microbes in them doing the digestion. Cool, right? I think it's very, very cool that they've somehow managed to absorb the DNA required, while others have had to host a whole lot of microbes in order to do the same job. Yep, I think it's fairly comfortable there. I think we're gonna keep on moving, unlike this guy. I'm just gonna grab that name again from that lovely viewer, but it was whether they were Yagal. You would like to know if they are related to praying mantises. Not really. In fact, they're a completely different order. They're Phasmatodia, which are basically the insects that try to conceal themselves. So that's how I used to remember it in university. Those insects that try to, I don't even know how my brain made that connection, but they try to hide themselves. So stick insects, and I think it was leaf insects too that were in that group. A very small order. But a very, very cool group. Okay, let's leave it be. It has found its comfortable spot now. So we are going to keep on moving, see what other little strange and wonderful things we can find. I'll send you back over to Tswalu, who found their wild dogs.
Welcome back, folks. So we followed these dogs a tiny bit further north from that last location, and they have been trying to pick up on anything furthermore. But look at that gorgeous view as they're starting to scout over this dune top, and they haven't found anything furthermore down this area. But yeah, you can see they're making use of the dune tops now. Well, a few small little dunes that's in the west here and amongst the thicket lines that they're trying to just get a bit of an elevated position. Try to see if they can see a bit more on scouting for more animals. But yeah, generally this is all happening quite a lot on sense of smell and hearing rather than sight when they're trotting through. So this is the reason why they go hunting into the wind or skew into the wind. And as we spoke about it earlier on this afternoon, as they were sleeping, when we touched the subject and the topic on the ears specifically, you're looking at about a situation that the ears, that is the walking motion as the ears in that position, like it is now, where it just goes sort of walking like upright. But then once the indication comes through for I have definitely seen something or I have noticed something, then yes, the ears goes flat down like we've seen with that hunt and chase we've just had right now previously. Right, let's keep up with these dogs. Yeah, so they're going to keep on going. It looks like the wind is slowed down a bit, but the wind is coming out of that direction a bit. FC, would you just repeat that question quickly? Stella, you just asked if the wild dogs hunt together. The wild dogs hunt very perfectly together, as they're a strong unit together, hunting as a team unit structure. And so that is the reason why they get to such huge success in a team unity formation as they hunt through these plains. And even in some of the woodland sections of the dense areas and so on. You can see the heads popping out there on the right hand side actually now, coming through. But as nightfall is starting to approach, they might actually start looking for a spot to settle in again, because it's going to be soon a dark evening. And as it's getting to this point in time, they'll still mission until the last bit of light. But we've had them once, especially with this beta male approaching, we've had them once actually sitting down already thinking about should they not maybe spare the energy, save it for tomorrow. Look at this beautiful, gorgeous alpha male coming through here. Yes, these dogs are in such a tip-top shape condition. And so as you see that alpha male being over here, scouting out in that direction, you've just seen the beta male popping out in this direction. So it looks like they just trying to figure out which direction to go to is the best one for now. Obviously just had that chase of that warthog and a bit of interaction of those bigger oryx. So as you can see them walking through very successfully. Evan, you're asking if wild dogs are howling, and Evan, they actually don't howl. As it is, they do like a growling sound if they feel threatened. They would almost like a wolf-like moan that they make if they contact calling, like looking for each other. And then it gets to a point that they would also make a different type of sound if they sometimes cornering in animals. So like almost like a yodeling sound that they're making. Look at the ears going sort of flat. We're going to have to just speed up quickly to get there. These animals have just detected something. You can see ears have just gone halfway down there. It's possible they might have heard something, might have smelled something. You can see the ears are going flat down over there on that beta male. It's going halfway down, as you can see. And I'm almost thinking they're going to chase right now. It's happening pretty soon. Pretty soon, it's seconds away. And we're not dealing with one of the easiest surfaces here, as we get some of these wild lucerne areas having a bit of a hump and a bump on them. You see these dogs just flushing through us in front of us here now. But they have definitely noticed something. You can see the ears have gone halfway back, and that halfway back motion is, like I said earlier on, it means that potentially I have smelled something, potentially I have detected something, but if the ears goes flat down onto the neck, that is the dead giveaway to the pack. Okay, there's something in front, it's go time. Those ears just constantly working at it. They constantly just trying to mission for it. As you can see, the dog is like an arrow pointing. Check out this alpha male coming through on the side here again. And you can see the beta male just pushing through, trying to figure out what is it that they have smelt in this area. You can see there's a bit more of a pace coming through in this spot. Something is happening here. Look at that beautiful spot where they going through the savanna grasses there. Beautiful seeing them coming through the savanna grasses. So we're going to have to just flank around this pan, as we don't know if it's wet inside there and if we're going to possibly get stuck in one of that pan spots there. So we're going to have to just mission our way around. I see some oryx or wildebeest in a far distance off, but it's a bit far for the camera to catch now. We'll see if that is what they've smelt earlier on. So The dogs have just gone passing straight through the pan as it is. We're just working our way around the pan. And look at that stunning oryx on the top of the dune. Coming up in front there. And the dogs are actually missioning straight for that silhouetting picture going there. Gorgeous. Look at that Kalahari silhouette of that stunning oryx coming through there. Guys, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep on moving. It looks like those dogs are moving quite quick there. So otherwise, we are going to lose them. Holes are a bit hectic here in this spot.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank Wild Earth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Riverbeds are a great way to find water and look for places where elephant have excavated hollows. You can then dig into the sand, and after a couple of feet you should find damp sand, which then can be squeezed out or siphoned off for water. And with water being one of our scarcest resources, it is a good idea to conserve water where and how you can.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
So folks, we literally just had these dogs bolting off behind something here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of action happening in front of us. I don't know if Morgan would be able to catch all of this. These dogs are just missioning through in speed in front of us. I also don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with them as they move fast. The ears are just going so quick, flashing through those thickets as they go through. You can see the ears every now and again above the three-thorn thickets just in front there, missioning through. And it looks like they're cornering a warthog in a hole. Possibly a warthog in a hole. You see the dust lifting up from that spot there. It's a bit of a difficult spot there. Check it out. How the dust coming off from that position. Crazy. Look at the amount of dust that they just pushed this warthog into this particular position. Crazy. Just dust everywhere we're looking. So awesome. See how that scent, as they came through just before the previous little slight rise of a hill, they picked up on the scent there of this warthog, and that was a few meters up to about 200 to 300 meters away, they actually started picking up on that scent, actually. Now, this warthog might actually make a rookie mistake and just shoot out of the hole again, and they will start running after it straight away. But you can see these dogs are trying to relocate on something else here as well, as there's possibly a bit more scent of another animal or individual. Let's pull a bit forward, see if we can see what's happening here. So you see the alpha female pushing through from the right-hand side over here. She's also coming to investigate the hole, actually. But that it looks like actually the two big boys that was chasing here, the alpha and beta males, is coming through. You can see the alpha female coming through just in front of us as well. So we're gonna just quickly sit here and just watch and see what's happening there on a distance. But let's see, it looks like they're moving on a bit further. So let's keep up a bit more. The tail is rising. It looks like they're picking up on something, or something's chasing them. Something's happening in front here. A warthog coming out. Look at that big warthog, and the dogs are chasing it. It's coming out, and it's flying through the bush. It's coming through, and it looks like it's also heading back to the hole. Sheepers, can you believe it? That big warthog just coming up to the hole. That is a warthog that actually just chased them big time over there, as he surprised them actually as they trotted through, smelling, and they accidentally actually just ran up to him and he charged them down. Warthogs could be actually quite dangerous animals with those big sharp tusks that they have. There's something else. There's another warthog coming straight towards us, coming straight through. Look at that, another one. It looks like they were just all hiding in this position. Yes, it's just warthogs raining out of the bush. But yeah, these warthogs are a bit big for these dogs, actually. But if they're just going to be able to grab hold of one's tail or so, they'd be able to succeed here, actually. Yeah, those warthogs are making their way out of here now. They just discovered, whoo, there's a painted wolf on my tail. Guys, how fascinating is all of this happening? It's just so incredible. So special. So it looks like the dogs have actually come to taking us towards the end of our drive. So folks, as I was saying, basically with this pack of dogs coming through here, it looks like they are heading back into nighttime now, thinking about what possibly needs to be happening. So thinking about Wild Earth linking with DSTV just creates so much more possibilities actually in this formation coming through in this environment. So being able to stick with these animals, you can see these dogs are still moving.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is actually sunny here on Djuma Game Reserve this morning, and there's a wonderful elephant bull is taking a nice stroll through quarantine. I'm very excited. This is an awesome way to start off the day, so I hope that you are excited too. And though the wind is still here, I think we're going to have a fabulous safari. So jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard. Like I said, my name is Trishal, and I've got Dan. me this fabulous morning on Djuma Game Reserve. Fabulous, why? Because I said so. The sun is shining for such a long time. It's been dreary, and I'm really glad that there's a bit of warmth in the air. It's about 19 degrees Celsius, 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And here on quarantine, we have some impala, and we have this wonderful bull. Love to start off the morning with an elephant. I always think it's a good omen. And they are my favorite types of sightings out here, are elephants. Well, if you've got a favorite type of sighting, maybe you have a list of what you want to see today, and we'll try our hardest